But if you look at the multiverse, and I've had one or two in particular multiverse experiences where time and reality has changed in a way that I cannot explain. It's
How so? What do you mean?
It's so incredibly profound that I still cannot wrap my mind around it. And
these are psilocybin experiences?
Psilocybin experience. So I think the psilocybin experience might be one portal, and now I'm going to sound like Terrence McKenna, of entering into the multiverse. The idea that time can be bent, that there are multiple universes occurring simultaneously in different realities. And I've had one experience in particular that is just unfathomable to me. I don't know how to explain it.
Give it a shot.
Okay, I'll give it a shot. And
you've already blown my mind apart 150 times today.
This is a very deeply personal experience to me, but I was going to the Evergreen State College. I had the Drug Enforcement Administration license. My brother John went to Yale University. He got a graduate scholarship in neurophysiology at the University of Washington. He came out to Washington State in Seattle. I was living in Olympia, Washington. I had a cabin up in the mountains near Darrington, Washington. Then the summertime for 3 years, I set chokers. I was a logger. I really believe in the school of hard knocks and the blending of academia with blue-collar hard work. I love chopping wood. I love running a chainsaw. I love hard labor. I think. It gives my mind some respite to be able to think. So I'm in this highly academic environment. My brother John, he died unfortunately 2 years ago. He got me involved in mushrooms. So I'm going to segue and set the stage here, but I need another 2 minutes to set the stage here. So I'm growing up in a small town in Ohio called Columbiana. My brother John is going to Yale. He comes back one day, and he gives me a book that he's using for his class, but he's on break. And he says, and I'm really fascinated. Now, John went to Mexico, Colombia, came back with great stories of eating psilocybin mushrooms, and he was my older brother. I just idolized him. And he has a book called Altered States of Consciousness. And so I said, John, can I borrow your book? He said, sure. And I said, but Paul, I need it back. After my break is over, I'm going back to college. This is part of our textbook. So I borrowed his book, Altered States of Consciousness, and I'm just fascinated reading it, about all these different ways of expanding your consciousness. I'm 14 years of age. And so my best friend, Ryan Snyder, says, Paul, can I borrow your book? We're hanging together all the time. And I go, yeah, but I need it back. And so he borrows my book, and he doesn't return it. A day, several days pass, a week pass, 2 weeks pass. My brother's coming back on break. He said, I needed that book back, Paul. And I go to Ryan. I go, Ryan, I need my book. And Ryan just kept on avoiding answering the subject. And so I said, finally, give me my book. And Ryan goes, I can't give it to you, Paul. I said, why? He says, my dad burned it. I said, your dad burned my brother's book? I go, WTF. I didn't use this phrase back then. I said, oh, my God. And I have a shout out to Ryan Snyder's father that because of that event, it stimulated my interest in altered states of consciousness even more. So John goes to Yale and goes to the University of Washington. I have this DEA permit. I'm at the Evergreen State College. John calls me up. He says, Paul, I think I found some psilocybin mushrooms. John said, you're really smart. You've been collecting Psilocybe cubensis in Colombia and Mexico, but they're much more complicated up here. And I said, let me ask you a few questions. I said, okay, John, do you take a spore print? And he goes, yes. And I go, is the spores purple-brown? And he goes, yes, they are purple-brown. I go, good. Okay. John, does it have a separable gelatinous pellicle? And he goes, what's that? And I go, well, break the cap. These are growing on wood chips. Break the cap and separate the cap very slowly. Do you see a little skin that's translucent? And he breaks it and he goes, yeah, I see that skin. I said, John, they're growing on wood chips. And he goes, yes. I go, are they turning bluish? He goes, yes, they're staining really bright blue. I go, wow. I said, John, how many did you find? He goes, you would not believe it. It's a huge amount. I said, wait. I said, but he said, Paul, they're in a very sensitive place. You better come up here right away. So I jumped in my car and I drove up from Olympia to Seattle, about 60, 70 miles. I get to his house, and John's there, and I go, well, where are we going? He goes, well, we need some grocery bags, and let's get on our bikes. and let's go down there. I go, well, why all the secrecy? And the problem is, well, you'll see. And it was the end of Boat Street, and right at the University of Washington, right off of University Avenue, there's Boat Street. And we get there, and right across the street is a police substation. So we're there, and it was an eruption of this mushroom. There had to be 10,000, 30,000 mushrooms, I don't know. It was about 50 feet by 30 feet, with all been mulched with wood chips. There was an eruption that picked up, trash and, debris that picked up 6 inches. It was solid mushrooms. There are mushrooms everywhere. I've, to this day, never seen so many mushrooms in one concentrated area. So we waited till the police cars went away, and we're kind of idling there. And then the police cars would go away, and from the substation, we'd start picking mushrooms. And we fill up a groceries bag or two. And then the other students are walking by. What are you doing? Oh, nothing. And then we eventually go, yeah, there's plenty for everybody. So. So it was like pretty soon everyone's all hanging out as a little group, like at the bus stop, right? We're not really waiting for the bus, right? We're waiting for the police cars to go away.
Right.
And then we picked all these mushrooms. And so we got about 8 or 10 grocery bags full of these mushrooms.
How bizarre.
It turned out to be a new species called Psilocybe stuntzii, named after
a new species.
It's new species.
New as in hadn't been discovered before.
Had
you
never
guys
been described in the scientific literature before.
So you picked a mushroom that no one knew existed before, hadn't been
described scientifically. We had known about it for about 3 years, but this is the largest eruption, and from that collection became part of of the type collection that anchored the species taxonomically. So I think some of the specimens still exist in herbaria around the world because it's the reference standard. So we go back to the house, and it's like, we got to dry them. So we lay out newspapers, and the whole newspapers were just covered with mushrooms. And so that night, we just about 4 guys from Yale, all neurophysiology, all scientists, on the scientist track, and let's eat them. And so, this is not very potent. They're 1/10 the potency of cubensis, so we made smoothies. And oh my gosh, talk about the gag reflex. So we had to make these smoothies. I had to eat 50 of them in order to have a dose equivalent to what Psilocybe cubensis would be. So I knew that. So we made these incredibly distasteful milkshakes, and we chugged them and we drank them. And then amazing experience. I bonded with my brother. It was beautiful. And then you're peeking at this experience. You look around, and there's like tens of thousands of these mushrooms. Like, oh my gosh, all for science. And so I go to bed, and I'm laying in bed, and full blown experience, and can barely sleep because all the colors are keeping me awake, and my mind is racing. And then I have a lucid dream. And I'm dreaming, and I wake up, and I go downstairs, and I go, I had this crazy dream. And what's your dream? And I said, I saw thousands of cattle dead, baking in the sun. I said, I think there's going to be a nuclear war. But what could kill all these cattle? There's a time the Reagan administration and all that, and the tension was really high between the Soviet Union and the United States. And they said, and they were joking with me, saying, "Oh, well, okay, when is it going to happen?" I go, "I know. I was in Olympia, and I needed to rush up to Darrington to stay in my cabin because my books were up there, my manuscript was up there. I need to save my research." So they laughed and they said, "Well, when's the world going to end, Paul?" And I go, "Well, it's not this weekend. That was like in 2 days. It's next weekend." So they wrote on the calendar, December 1st. I put it in my book. I think it's 1975. The end of the world. They wrote, Paul predicts the end of the world. So we forgot about it. Massive rains the next week. Huge amounts of snowfall. And then on Wednesday, Thursday, temperature inversion. And it flipped to 75 to 85 degrees. All the snow started to melt. All the rivers were flooding. And my little cabin was right next to this river that would swell from from morning to night. It would go up 6 feet just from the snow melt because it's very close to this volcano and big glaciers. I said, oh my gosh, I'm going to lose my manuscript, all my research. I need to get up there. And so I'm watching the news, and the roads are being closed. So I had to go through Rockport, Washington, the back way in order to get back to my cabin. I get to my cabin. and the bank had eroded about 10 feet. I was only about 10, 12 feet away from the river now. My cabin was on the verge of falling into it, but I got my manuscript. I got all my books. I rescued all the material I had, but I couldn't get out of there because the roads had been closed. And so I had to wait 2 days, and the roads then opened up, and I drove out of the valley into the Snohomish Valley, and I went around the bend. And there, the sun, it was a brilliant sunny day, a warm day, and there floating in the fields were hundreds and hundreds of dead cattle.
Whoa.
How do you explain that? I entered, I think, into the multiverse.
Whoa. Now, as a scientist, you realize when you say something like that, you open yourself up to ridicule. Do you feel hesitant to communicate these ideas?
Well, to a degree, yes. But, I'm 62 years of age, and, at one point, I just don't care. I just don't care, This is true. This happened to me. And I can push the envelope on these ideas because the credibility of my research is well established. I can save the bees. Do you care whether I have taken psilocybin mushrooms if I can save your farm, your family, your country, or the world billions of dollars and protect biosecurity?
I care more.
I care more. That's right. Yeah. So I'm telling you things. I'm not making these up. I don't
think you are.
I don't have to.
I just wonder.
But just because you can't explain it does not mean it's not true.
Right.
And I think that we need to accept the fact that the reality is not limited to the perception that we have traditionally used.
Yeah, I guess that's like what it must be to just be in the Amazon itself as well, right?
For sure.
In the jungle, not just the rivers and the lakes or whatever's out there, but the actual jungle itself.
It was incredible. The jungle there. So we were in Colombian Amazon, and talk about untouched by people. There's been this kind of ongoing conflict in Colombia for many, many years. So we were the first Westerners to go there in over 60 years. So the village we flew into, they'd literally never seen white people before. And then we went 200 kilometers from that. So middle of nowhere.
Did they want to touch you?
Yeah, hair. Because their hair was very dark and very different. And I'm not particularly fair, but just to touch the hair and see the blue eyes and stuff, they were just loving it.
Friendly?
Super friendly. The culture was very stoic. There wasn't a lot of smiling or crying. There wasn't a lot of emotional exchange. But straight away they came and greeted us, shook hands, said hello. It was really cool.
Wow, that's gotta be. Now, how do you set something like that up? Do you have a liaison that acts as a go-between between you and the tribes?
Yeah, so we did in this case have one guy who communicated. I speak Spanglish, I guess, and they all speak Spanish from back in the day. So we set it all up. It's part of the wildlife stuff that I do. We literally flew a DC-3, a World War II cargo plane, into this cocaine dealer's airstrip.
What?
And then that's how we got there. Mind-blowing stuff.
Current cocaine dealer or former?
Former, yeah. Well,
who knows?
TBD.
It's still Colombia, right?
Exactly.
Wow.
So yeah, I was that one was really cool, really remote.
How crazy is it that they learned Spanish from people who came over on boats from Spain and it just stuck?
Isn't that nuts? And took over the whole
region.
Yeah, the whole world. And here's this tribe in the middle of the Amazon that has this language from another continent.
Well, and Brazil, right? From Portugal.
Right.
It's really incredible when you stop and think about it. It's incredible, but it's also part of it's a little sad. Wouldn't you have loved to have heard what their original language was?
Oh, absolutely.
What it sounded like?
Well, they did. So it's funny because when they didn't want us to understand what they were talking about, they would switch to their native Indian language. So they still had... They were bilingual, a community of 25 people that have never left, and they're bilingual.
Wow.
It's amazing.
Now, their native language is what? What is it?
It's an Amazonian Indian dialect. I honestly don't even... They might have said the name, but I don't recall.
What is the name of their tribe?
Also, I'm not even sure. They're so isolated, they're unaware of what country they live in. They don't even know that they're in Colombia.
Really?
Really. They're just to them, they're Amazonian. They're not Colombian, Ecuadorian, Brazilian. They're Amazonian.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So they just stay. Where they are, they stay.
And the village we were in is literally, I think it's over 200 kilometers from the next village of 15 or so people. And they don't have fuel. They don't have motors. They just in this pocket and they just subsistence live.
And they're all barefoot, right?
Yeah.
Do they have those crazy splayed out feet?
Big feet, because they're not very big people. They're small Indian people, but really big kind of useful feat. And the way that, they could run up and down trees and climb stuff, I mean, it was unbelievable. Like, so much more athletic than you could imagine.
Oh, I'd imagine, right? They've been doing that their whole life.
Their
right?
whole lives, yeah.
Now, when I say splayed out feet, what I'm talking about is that people that walk barefoot in the jungle for long periods of time, like their whole life, their toes spread out and their feet almost look like a hand.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
I did not pay enough attention. That might have been the case, but I didn't notice
looking
it.
at their feet.
Exactly.
Yeah, it is kind of a weird thing to stare at dudes' feet.
Yeah, for sure.
But Steve Ranella, who's a good friend of mine, told me about that. He was in Guyana, and it's the same thing. And they actually got some pictures and videos of these people's feet. But look at these guys up there.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh no, I didn't notice anything like that.
Yeah. This is that's how do you say that? Horani?
Sounds right.
Horani, you think? Horani Indian splayed feet. So it's very strange. Like, it's kind of the opposite of what happens to women when they jam their feet into those little pointy shoes.
Right.
Where they get the toes kind of smush onto each other.
The ballet feet.
Yeah, it's horrible. Instead of that, they're all like crazy spread out. What in the fuck is going on there? The guy's
The
got
top
like
is hands, I think. But
wood. Yeah, the top is hands.
yeah.
But the bottom is like wood feet.
But
Like,
that's got to be like what our feet are supposed to be.
probably right.
Right?
Yeah. Thick ass toes that actually have muscles in them that move.
That you can use like a tool, like your hand.
Yeah. So, and these guys just can climb up trees with them, so they grip the side of the tree with their feet like a hand.
Oh, I mean, I didn't notice, like I say, the feet just like that specifically, but the way they could, like, everything's covered in mud down there, right? It's all wet. It rains every day. And they could run up and down these tree trunks, like, to get up and down the village. And here's me and my crew with our awkward cameras and stuff, and we're slipping and sliding and falling over.
Yeah.
And, like, they're literally like, what's wrong with these people? Why can't they walk? We must have looked like infants to them.
Right. And you guys probably have, like, boots on and shit that
Of
get
course.
muddy and fucked up. And
Oh,
yeah.
totally. Yeah, we're wearing, muck boots, and my one buddy's got waders on, and, we think we're all hard and cool because we got all this gear, and they're just, like, running around in shorts barefoot.
It is so fascinating when you see people that don't have contact with the outside world. Like, I'm sure you're aware of that recent story. The missionary was killed by the people in North Sentinel Island.
Absolutely.
Which is one of the weirder places because they've branched off from Africa 60,000 years ago or something like that.
Right.
When you're around these people, like, what do they do if they get injured?
So funny you asked that because we kind of had that same question, right? And they don't leave. They stay in the village. They have a shaman at the village who blessed us with a crazy green powder, and that's a whole nother story. But they have a shaman, and he is their doctor. However, he has no access to any Western medicine. So it's only his learned knowledge handed down through generations plus jungle powders and whatnot. And that's it. So we spent a day, because we had a medic with us, doing like kind of village help, if you will. Everybody had ringworm. Everybody had respiratory infections. There were a lot of lady problems in the village that our medic had to deal with. I mean, there was a lot of health issues, and you don't even realize it.
I'm going to write something down before I forget. I'm sorry, it's totally unrelated. But
No, all good.
There's a doctor named Peter Hotez that's coming on the podcast, and I have to follow up on him. When you start talking about the people in the jungle, he's an actual doctor he specializes in infectious diseases in jungle and tropical climates, and he's like, everyone's infected with something.
Everyone.
He'd
have a heyday down there.
Yeah, I'm sure. It's probably been.
Yeah.
But so when these people have ringworm and all these different infections, do they treat it? Do they have like some naturopathic cure or some shit?
I think it's kind of a 50-50. Like, a lot of it they don't treat because it's just part of everyday life. Like, when I say everybody had ringworm, I meant everybody had it. So I don't think there was any kind of treatment or cure. It was just kind of part of them. Huh. But other things, the witch doctor or the shaman was trying to treat. And then we kind of went in and we had like medication for ringworm, so we dewormed everybody, and with the shaman's blessing, and he was like super excited to have Western medicine in the village. And
would you use like Lamisil or something like that?
I couldn't tell you. I think it wasn't topical. I think it was like a Vermox, like a pill that you take that kills the worms.
The weird thing about that is like, don't you leave and then they're going to get it again, right?
I mean, there's only so much you can do,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, totally. That we were having the same dilemma,
Yeah.
and it was like, do we interfere because we're from the outside world? do we help? And we talked to the shaman through our translator, and he said, please help, please help. So we gave, including him, everybody this dewormer, but, they'll just come back.
Yeah, and also they probably don't understand the consequences of taking some antibiotic that's going to do some weird shit to your whole biome. Right.
And
Kills
these are all
the good stuff, too.
It's such a moral dilemma. You're there, and you're like, I want to help. Do I? Is it helpful? Is it hindering? Yeah. Our medic was like, it's undeniably going to help. They need this. And so we went for it. And it was, it seemed to help. Everybody felt fine, but we were only there a couple more days before we left. So who knows?
Wow. Now, when you're talking about ringworm, like, are these guys covered in it? They have big patches of it? Like, what's it like?
Feet and legs had big patches of it. Yeah.
And if you don't know, that's the same shit that's athlete's foot.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, ringworm and athlete's foot are the same kind of funk.
Oh.
Yeah.
Huh.
That's why people tell you to pee on your feet.
Oh, I thought that was just for fun.
It could be for fun. Depends on what you're into. But I think that's the idea behind it, is that you're somehow or another you're killing the bad bacteria when you piss on your feet and you have athlete's foot. That might be horseshit. Maybe, yeah. With me, you always have to check. Yeah, definitely give that a little look-see. But it's a real common thing with jiu-jitsu.
Gotcha.
So guys,
just all the mats.
Yeah, it's real common. So just guys get it. And there's people really fuck up where they like put bleach on it and a bunch of different things to try to kill it, and it winds up getting worse, and also fucks up all the natural skin flora. Jock itch, athlete's foot, and ringworm are all types of fungal skin infections known collectively as tinea. They're caused by fungi called dermatrophytes that live on the skin, hair, and nails and thrive in warm, moist areas, the jungle.
Gross.
So it seems like they're just going to get it.
That's just what it sounds like. But
what
still
do they
trying
do
to help.
for it? What do they do for it?
I didn't see them treating that at all. And when we pointed it out, they were like, yeah, we know about it. They were more concerned with things that were like dire. Like there was an infant, maybe 3 years old, and he was hacking up a lung. And he was asthmatic, according to our medic. So our medic gave them like an asthma medication, and he just said, if he has an attack where he can't breathe, give him this. And to be super real with you, when we walked away, our medic was like, I doubt he'll live to see adulthood.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
And were you giving him inhalers? Did you give him...
I'm not sure, to be honest, what it was that he left with him.
And what about like injuries? What if they break a leg or something like that? What do they do?
I don't think anything. Yeah.
Was you got to think these people are climbing trees. They must
constantly fall, get bitten by stuff. There's tons of venomous snakes out there. It's wet, it's muddy, it's slippery. They're building stuff out of very rudimentary tools. It's nuts. They have to get injured.
It's so interesting that we have this understanding of medicine and doctors and hospitals, but that's probably pretty fucking recent.
Oh, of course, yeah. I'll tell you a story, Joe. I was in Myanmar late last year, and we're down there filming this thing, and this kid, like 22-year-old crab fisherman, gets bitten by a crocodile.
Oh.
Croc grabs him by the arm, grabs him by the thigh, and death rolls. So it breaks the arm in 15 places, compound fracture, the real deal. I can show you pictures of it. It'll blow your mind. And we hear about this, and we're minutes away. It's kind of one of the similar situations where we're the first Westerners to be there in a long time. We go bombing over at high speed, and we get there, and the mom is off mourning the death of her child, but her child is sitting there still alive. Like they have written him off, and mom is literally mourning the death of her child, and he's lying there conscious, but in total shock. Fortunately, just because of the situation, we had a speedboat, everything else. We bandaged him up, tried to keep his arm stable and his leg stable, put him in our speedboat, and it was 6 hours by speedboat to a village that had to a hospital, really. And so he got there, and his life was saved. But we asked the people in the village, what were you going to do? And they're like, there's nothing we can do.
Wow.
So he was just going to bleed out or go septic, and that was the end of it.
Ooh, what a fucking rough way to go.
Right.
Ooh. How did he get away from the crocodile?
I don't know. I think he was just hitting it or hammering on it. He was crab fishing in the water, and it came up and grabbed him, rolled a few times, and at some point he escaped. How he even got back in the boat and made it back to the village, I have no idea, because his leg was shattered, his arm was shattered. It was brutal. And it was a canoe, It wasn't like he had a little motor or a wheel to drive. He canoed back.
One of the most disturbing stories I ever read was these guys were kayaking in an African river, and the guy in front of them got grabbed by a crocodile, and that it went under, and it like plunged like a bobber as the crocodile pulled him out of the bottom of the kayak.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck.
That's awful.
Imagine being the guy behind him and watching that
just
shit.
Just watching, yeah, and knowing that you're pretty much helpless.
Did you see any jaguars or anything?
I've never seen a jaguar. I've seen a lot of lions. I'm from Africa. I don't know if you knew that, but so I've seen a lot of lions growing up. My family did safaris, and then I've seen mountain lions here in California, leopards, stuff like that. I've never seen a wild jaguar.
Really?
Yeah.
Even when you were in the Amazon?
I think they're really elusive. I know there's areas that are hot spots. All of the locals were very nervous and kind of knew about them. Like, I went out for bushwalks at night and stuff, and I'd just go me and one guy with a camera. And they were like, "Oh, be careful! Like peligroso, very dangerous. Don't do it." But
Peligroso means very dangerous.
Peligroso, like
Peligroso?
danger, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And so we just go, and I'm not trying to act like we were tougher than them or anything. We would love to have seen one, but they were very aware of them, so they were there. We just didn't happen to run into one.
Sort of like mountain lions.
Exactly.
Yeah, like they say that mountain lions are like if you live in a place that has them, Wyoming or Colorado or something like that, they know where you are.
Right.
But
right.
They might be around you all the time, and you might rarely see them. Like
exactly.
Maybe driving home, you see one skittering into the bush.
There was a nuts video, I think it was from the LA area. Did you ever see it where the security cams picked up this mountain lion that was walking through this like very residential neighborhood, and you'd see like people would walk by, and then 30 seconds later he'd like dip out of the shadows and then dip back in, and then the next set of people would walk by and nobody had any clue he was there.
Yeah, it's crazy that a giant predator can move around like that.
Right.
Yeah, so when you're there, like what would you have done if someone got bit by a venomous snake or a spider or something like that? Did you guys have any anti-venom? Were you prepared for something like that?
I mean, that's my department, right? Like as the wildlife guy, that's kind of my department is make sure nobody gets bitten, make sure nothing like that happens. And we handled very many venomous snakes and caught anacondas and all kinds of great stuff. We did have, like, my main camera guy, his name's Mitch. He got absolutely lit up by these wasps one night. And we all were. We got like 12, 14 stings each. But I looked back in the canoe at one point, and his eyes are just super swollen. He's bright red. He's sweating. I'm like, Mitch, you okay? He's like, His throat started to close up. He was having an allergic reaction. So we had to hit him with antihistamines. And I'm not actually sure if the medic administered the EpiPen or not. But he was like, we're in the middle of the jungle. We're 6 hours from a village that's then a full day's travel by a charter plane from a hospital. I mean, middle of fucking nowhere. And his throat's closing up. And that's why we take a medic with us. Thankfully, we had this emergency medic. He administered the antihistamines, and Mitch was okay. But these things do happen.
Do you ever, like, while you're on these crazy adventures, do you ever out there going, this is the last one?
Nah, never. No way.
Never?
No way, man. I love it. I live for it.
Dog, I used to snow a show for a living. $15 an hour in 1983. I would sit out there, shovel snow, and case the apartments. The whole Snowmass Village. Every time people go skiing, I knew when they were leaving. I knew the whole thing.
Yeah, we did that in Newton.
I shovel snow for a living, man.
Yeah.
It was 8 hours a day. No, it was a full-time job in Snowmass Village. Mm-hmm. You just applied for it, $15 an hour, insurance. After 90 days, it was a ski pass. It was a job. It was a fucking job. That was your job.
Have you been to Aspen lately?
No.
It's crazy.
I'm going this summer.
It's just
I could just imagine.
Beverly Hills in the mountains.
Yeah, I could just imagine.
It's all these rich people, and it's really weird. It's not what it used to be.
No, I know.
Like, you go watch those old documentaries when Hunter S. Thompson was there. Was he there when you were there? Did you ever see him? Yeah? At Woody Creek? Did you go to the Woody Creek Tavern?
I used to go to get weed, and the nachos were fucking delicious there.
Yeah. Food's still great there.
Did you go?
Yeah.
Is it still open?
Yeah, it's still open. I ate there a couple years ago.
No shit.
Yeah, we went to Aspen for a ski trip, and I said, we got to go to Woody Creek Tavern. Got to go pay respects.
Doug, that was a place. Think about an 18-year-old kid. Just close your eyes for a minute.
There it is.
And I'm talking about... No!
Yep. Still open.
Oh, that changed a lot, dog.
Did it?
Yeah.
What changed?
It looks like a place now.
Well, it's a lot of photos of people on the wall.
When I was going in there, it looked like fucking a barn.
Yeah?
83. I had a friend, Cato. Keith Korn was his name. And I told him, I go, listen, you got to deal with me. I love you to death. Don't knock my door unless you got the best weed in town. And when you do have the best weed in town, knock on my door. I don't care if it's 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning. And he would come over and tell me, I got great weed. We got to go to Woody Creek Tavern. First time I went in there. Now, you want me to lie to you and tell you I knew who Hunter Thompson was? I didn't know who the fuck he was. First time I went in there, he was in there with Bill Murray.
Really?
And Don Johnson.
Wow.
All right. First time I went in there. The second time was Don Johnson. The first time it was Bill Murray. I got my weed. I got the nachos. I didn't say a word. I didn't need to take, there was no pictures then. And I just walked out. And then on the way, the guy was telling me who Hunter Thompson was. Then a year later, the first movie came out. The first that was played by Bill Murray played him. That was Where the Buffalo Roam.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
That's a good one.
That's a good one. And then I went in there a second time and I saw Don Johnson. And that was fucking mind-blowing. He was hotter than shit on Miami Vice. And then I went in there another time and one of the Nitty Ditty Dirt Band were there with Hunter Thompson. It was a fucking party up there.
Wow.
And I was a kid. And they would tell you, if you go to the Aspen Airport, the bar, Clint Eastwood's there every night. Every fucking night. And I would not go up there. For some reason, I was just scared to meet Clint Eastwood.
And you're young.
And Don Henley picked me up hitchhiking.
Really?
One time, I got in the car and he had that song, it was 83, 84, so he just put out Dirty Laundry. And he was big, the Boys of Summer.
Yeah.
I'm in the fucking, because Aspen used to have a hitching post. Okay, so when you finish your job at Aspen, you could just go to a hitching post and stand out there. If people went like this, that means they weren't going down valley. So if they did this to you, that means they were just going to like Snowmass or something like that.
Short trip.
And people would pick you up all the fucking time and just talk to you. What's going on? Where you from? Oh, I'm from there. Wow. And the first time it was Don Henley, and I still lived in Basalt. And then 4th of July, 83, I moved to Snowmass, and I was hitchhiking, and John Denver picked me up in a Jeep.
John Denver picked you up?
Fucking Denver, Joe.
Wow.
And I'm like, come on, this isn't, no. And he's like, if you're not doing anything, I'm doing the thing. He does a charity up there every fucking year or something. I didn't even know. I was just
He's saying,
car.
come to the show?
Yeah, like, come up. It's free or some shit. And I'm like,
wow.
I just moved to Snowmass. I don't know anybody. Then, like, a month later, I go to Conoco in Old Snowmass. There's Snowmass Village and there's Old Snowmass. And I went to Old Snowmass because the guy was from New York and he had hot dogs. And I remember going there and seeing Goldie Hawn with Kurt Russell, like nothing. Sandals on. The girl, Kate Hudson, was a baby.
Wow.
Maybe 2, 3, 4 with her brother, a little brother that was a little older than her maybe. I used to see them all the fucking time, man. Sidney Poitier used to come into the video store. I was shit. That's when I asked Robin Williams for an autograph. He told me no, and he had body odor. He stunk so fucking bad. He had been in the coke thing for like 4 fucking days.
Oh, no.
That was a magical, magical place for a kid at 18. It was just something different, man. And I did a movie with Adam Sandler, and Don Johnson was in the back. And I had to do a scene with him. And after every scene, we had to go into this closet. And I would talk to him. And I go, I still remember you when you got chased down Galena Street. And he goes, you remember that? When Miami Vice was hotter than shit, like 86, I was in Aspen. And one night we were at like Patty Bugatti's. And you see a bunch of people running down the street. It's a bunch of women chasing Don Johnson.
Wow.
He's fucking running with his bodyguard down the street of Aspen. Fucking crazy shit. I can't imagine what it's like now. It doesn't have that homey feeling.
No, it's a different thing.
On the way out of Aspen, when you made that turn out, before you hit that road, the 82, there used to be a fucking diner on the corner. And they were known for their crumb cake. And you could smell it. So all you smelt when you passed that was the crumb cake and the smell of the chicory. Mm-hmm. Like the burning in people's fucking tremendous. Like I never smelled that before. Like all those things, it was just, I was like a kid in a candy store.
It had to be a culture shock too, right? Coming from New Jersey.
Shit. And
going to Aspen.
I remember the first month I'd come home and yell at my roommates, what the fuck did you do to me? They're all faggots. They all say good morning and hello and, people pulling over. Do you need a ride? Get the fuck out of here. And I'm like, no, you can't act like that. These people really want to help you.
So what brought you to Aspen in the first place?
My brother Jimmy Burkle he got thrown out of the Air Force Academy, and he went back home to get his weights, to get his Olympic weights and speakers. We drove cross country. He said he was going to Aspen. I knew nothing about it.
So you said, fuck it, I'll go for a ride?
20 people were looking for me, so I had no choice. So I came up with like $1,500. I bought the car for us to drive in. The axle fell off. And it was weird because he told me a date when he was leaving. But I was planning on robbing this bookmaker for a ton of dough. The guy had money in like a linen closet, and he would have like a register. It was like hundreds in the top, 50s in the second shelf. And every time I went in there, he would just open up the closet and take money out and pay us. And I go, we got to rob this guy. So I was waiting to rob this guy. I didn't want to go because I thought it was like a $20,000 day pay day, right? So I told him, just leave and I'll get a plane ticket. When he got to Pennsylvania, the axle fell. So he had to get towed back. And once he came back, I knew I had to go. Like that was my sign. Like I got to go. He broke the fuck down, this guy, to come back. And then I said, fuck, and I went with him. I was 18, I had no family, nothing going on, and nothing to lose. My cousin was up there. I had a Cuban cousin, Tweety, who got caught fucking throwing coke out of a bale. Remember I told you that? And then his nephew showed up to my show like a week later.
He got coke out of a bale?
He's the famous guy that he was throwing the coke out of an airplane.
Oh.
He lived in Aspen. That motherfucker did 25 years in America and another 15 in the Bahamian jail.
Really?
And he's out now.
Wow.
He's old, he's old. So I went up there, and it was perfect for what I was just coming out of. I lost my mother 2 years earlier. I needed to fucking get some traction, and I fell in that place. Can you imagine, man? I just fell into that fucking place.
Pretty crazy.
Pretty fucking crazy.
But a good shift of perspective, right? You get to see a totally different way to live.
Different, and I had to figure it out for myself. And I still remember being up there struggling and joining Colorado Mountain College. No high school diploma. Just walked in one day. I like to take some classes. If you got the money, you could take them. Started taking 6 credits. 6 credits a semester. 6 credits. No high school diploma. Math classes, the whole fucking thing, history. Then I went to Boulder, and I joined continuing ed at Boulder. And one day they came to me with a letter, Joe, and they're like, listen, you got too many credits for here. You got to transfer into a college. And I'm like, I got no high school diploma. And they're like, well, you can't take classes here. I didn't tell them that. I didn't have a high school diploma. And I applied for the University of Colorado in the Spanish program. Some program they had. You had to maintain a 2.0 and fucking garbage. They gave you a tutor.
Really?
They gave you money out the ass. So I transferred into the University of Colorado. They kept bugging me. Where's your high school transcripts? Where's your high school transcripts? I'll whip one up in a second. I didn't know how. I kept lying to them. They're coming. And then finally I got arrested, and I had to take my GED. So I said, fuck it, and that's how I got in.
When you got arrested, you had to take a GED?
Well, when you get arrested, when they were thinking about me, I had to show the judge I was trying to get my life together. And that was on the list.
Oh, I see.
So I took the GED, and then I went to the University of Colorado, and then I got thrown in prison.
You're probably the only guy that's gone to college and then went back and got his GED.
Can you fucking believe that? There was no computers back then. They just, whatever. It was Colorado at the time. Yeah, bring it next time.
I mean, when Goggins lived with me, his rule was we had to do something every day that sucked. That was his rule.
He's the master at that.
Yeah, tell me about it. And
what did he make you do?
Every day sucked. He didn't tell me that we're going to do that 5 times a day. That no, I mean, I remember one day. Well, the first thing we did was he came and he wanted to see how many pull-ups I could do so he could map out the month. He lived with me for a month, and I went to the pull-up bar and I got like maybe 8 pull-ups, which is an exaggeration. I probably got like 4 pull-ups. A lot of people are listening, so I'll say 8. And then he said, all right, wait 30 seconds, go and do it again. And I went up on the pull-up bar and I did maybe like 3 or 4. He said, all right, wait 30 seconds, I want you to do it again. And I got up on the pull-up bar and I did maybe like 1 kipping, getting my damn chin over the bar barely. And I dropped down, I was all jacked up, and I said, all right, well, what's next? He said, well, what's next is we're not leaving here until you do 100 more. We're not leaving the gym until you do 100 more.
That day.
Now. Like right now.
Right now. So you
And
had
I was
done
like-
7.
I did like probably 7 or 10, and I was like, man, Goggins, that's impossible. And he said, I already know what your biggest problem is. And he's like, the limitations you're putting on yourself are self-imposed. Get the fuck back on the bar. And,
Jesus
Roger
Christ.
that, man. And I got up on the bar, and I over the course of an hour or two, I did them. And that started our journey of like, you're about to go in a place where you've never been, motherfucker. And, we went, I remember one day I was sitting on the couch and in Connecticut where I was living at the time, and on the ticker on the TV, the emergency broadcast system came up. Stay inside. Freezing rain. Icy conditions. High winds. Stay inside. It was like beeping. Stay inside. And Goggins was like, this is amazing, man. Let's go for a run. And I'm like, they're telling us the exact opposite, man. They're broadcasting to the whole community to stay inside.
Right.
So we go for a 10-mile run in the blizzard, and we come home, and I lived on a lake, and kids are playing hockey on the lake. So we go down, and he takes his hand, and he moves all the snow off the ice. He gets a boulder, and he breaks the ice, a little hole in the ice with the boulder, and then he takes his hand, and he makes the hole a little bit bigger, and then he jumps in. And then he points at me, and he takes his finger, and he signals for me to jump in. I'm not going in the fucking freezing cold water, because my mother told me as a kid in Long Island, don't go anywhere near the frozen water. If you fall in, you have like a minute,
Right.
He's bathing in it. So, of course, I go in, and he looks at me. He's like, man, you got about 2 to 4 minutes. You're going to get hypothermia. We just went on a run. We got to get you out of the lake. And I go to get out. He goes, you can't get out. He goes, if your skin touches the ice, it's going to stick to the ice like the kid in Christmas Story, his tongue that sticks to the pole, So he puts my shoes back on my hands and picks my ass up and I put my socks on or whatever, and I bear crawl out of the ice, and I run up, and I see my wife looking out the window as I'm running into the house, and we come in, and she says to Goggins, like, what's the medical benefit of jumping in a frozen lake? And he said to her, there's no medical benefit. She's like, this is what your husband signed up for. He's like, I want to see how far he's willing to go to get to his goals. And I was like, fuck, this is going to be some 30 days, man. Jesus.
Wow. What was the toughest thing he made you do?
It was just the consistency of it. It was just like, he went everywhere I went. He shadowed me for 30 days. He went to every business meeting. We flew together. He lived, with my wife and I.
Did you think, like, what the fuck did I sign up for?
This is back in 2010. So this is, yes, I did. I was.
And the book came out 2 years ago?
No, I waited 5 years. I didn't, expect it to ever be a book. It was just like, at all. There was no book being discussed. I kept a little blog about it,
So why'd you do it?
I just felt like there was so much in it. There's so many lessons, and it was funny. Fish out of water, like he's coming into our house. My wife owns Spanx. I mean, like the whole dynamic of this shit was crazy. And I just felt there were a lot of lessons that could be learned through it. And, I just took a shot at it.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, he's a maniac. When he did the podcast, I got here. He showed up super early, and when I got here, he was already with his shirt off doing chin-ups. I was like, I walked into the back where the gym is, and he's in there. I'm like, look at this motherfucker.
Amazing.
Yeah, he's a savage.
Yeah.
He's legit.
But these are all the lessons, like as you're talking about, and you don't know where the nuggets come from. You put yourself in a position for the nuggets to appear. And they don't have to be radical positions like I'm going to go get Goggins or I'm going to go live with a monk. They don't have to be radical. But you put yourself out there like you were saying, and you live a life where those lessons find you.
Yeah.
And then
and seek them.
You seek them.
Yeah. Well, Goggins' story is so fascinating because he wasn't that guy. He was fat and out of shape and unmotivated and lazy and, talked openly about the first time he ran. Like he quit. He was supposed to, he ran about 3/4 of a mile, I think he said, and quit. And he was exhausted and just drinking milkshakes and all fucked up. And somehow or another decided he's not going to be that guy anymore and went 180 degrees and became this intensely motivated Iron Man.
Yeah. Yeah, I was at the race. I saw him at the race where he broke all the bones in his feet, you know. I saw him. I participated in that race. It's the first time I saw him. That's how I met him. And 2007. And you know,
He broke all the bones in his feet?
he broke. Yeah, he was running 100. I was running this race. It was a 24-hour race as a relay team. I was with 4 friends. And the format of the race is, you know, you run a mile, I run a mile, whatever team runs the most amount of miles wins the race. He had no teammates.
That sounds
I'm like,
him.
where's the rest of the team?
That sounds like him.
And he weighed a lot at the time. So, I watched him.
Weighed a lot. Was he bodybuilding at the time?
He was just big. You know, probably weighed 260, 70 pounds, maybe
when
more.
He was deadlifting and all
yeah,
that stuff?
maybe even more.
So was this the one where he ran 24 hours all around the just to show that he could run 100 miles?
Yes.
And he wound up shitting himself?
Yes.
And all that? Yeah, he told me about that.
I saw it.
I didn't know he broke all the bones in his feet,
He
though.
broke some bones, yeah.
He didn't even tell me about that. And then he ran a marathon a month later.
Yeah.
He's a fucking animal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he really is.
Yeah.
And he was telling me also that
Explain
he did
that to your wife when you say he's coming to live with you.
You don't know my wife. That ain't happening. She's kick us both out.
I just said it really fast. I told Sarah because I flew out to meet Goggins after the race. You know, I cold called him, and my wife asked me how the meeting went. And in the meeting, you know, I realized like I kind of wanted to get the secret sauce. Like, what the fuck,
Right.
try, you know.
Yeah.
And
Was that the idea? Like,
Yeah, I was like,
by being around such an intensely motivated guy, that you would get the rub.
get the rub, and I'd fallen into a routine I couldn't get out of. And I just, you know, like I was like, just get me out of my routine, man, you know?
Right.
And I want to learn from you and that kind of thing. And my wife asked me how the lunch meeting went, and I told her that, you know, he's coming to live with us. She was like,
So
what?
you had
I'm like,
this lunch meeting with him, and were you going to propose this before the meeting?
I went to, what happened was I went to the meeting and with no real agenda other than like, I want to meet this guy, man. You know, it's 2007. I want to meet him. 2008, something around there, was 10 years ago. And I was just so like drawn to him, you know? And I actually went home and then asked him to come, you know, live with me. And he said yes. And then I told my wife after, like, this guy's coming in 2 days.
Now, why did he say yes? I mean, isn't he busy? Did you offer him money? Like, how did this?
No, he was he was active. He was still in the military at the time, and yeah, I think I don't know exactly what triggered. I remember asking him to come, and I remember him saying to me, "If you're crazy enough to ask a guy like me to come live with you, motherfucker, I'm crazy enough to come." 3 days later, he shows up with one bag.
Knowing him, that is exactly what it would sound like if he said it with those crazy eyes.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Sweetie, this is David.
Wow. Did you give him an objective? Did you say why you wanted him to come, or what you were trying to get out of it?
At that time in my life, I had just left. If I have my timeline right, I think I just left this private jet car company. I had Marquis Jet. I was just starting out in this coconut water business, and I was in a routine. You know, I was in a rut. I was just doing the same stuff, man. I was so comfortable, and I was just like, "Just come, shake it up, man. You know, you can travel with me. I got some meetings coming up. We'll live together." There was no book. There was no anything.
Right.
The book happened years later, and he said he would do it.
That's crazy that he just
I
agreed.
loved it, by the way. It was
Did
one
you?
of the best months of my life. I
Really?
loved being around him. He's an amazing guy. I loved, you know, we were watching games. We were working out. I was going out midnight, 3 a.m. We were running in the blizzards.
3 a.m.
One day, he was like, "We're going to run 4 miles every 4 hours for 48 hours." Joe, I was like, "I got to work." He's like, "No, you don't." "No, you don't. You can work 48 hours.
Wow.
So I would wake up at midnight. We started at midnight. We would run. Let's say it took us 40 minutes. And then we would come back. We'd have, 3 hours and 20 minutes of rest. And then at 4 a.m. we'd go again, 4 miles. Boom, 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 boom. 48 hours.
Jesus Christ.
One time, I have fucking a million stories. I mean, we went in the sauna, and he's like, all right, we're going to stay in the sauna for, and I'm a sauna guy. I thought I was a sauna guy, by the way. I thought I was. And actually, this was the steam. And he's like, we're going to stay in here for 30 minutes, 8 ounces of water. Okay. We jack it up. It's fucking cooking in there. I walk in, I'm like, holy fuck. It's so hot in here. He sits down. He's whistling Dixie. Like sitting in the corner doing his shit. I'm like, 8 minutes in and my water's gone. I've already drank my 8 ounces of water. And about 19 minutes in, I'm like, Goggins, I got to get out. He's like, you can't get out. I'm like, no, I'm gonna pass out. I got to get out. He's like, you can't get out. I'm like, no. And I didn't even wait for him to say no again because I'm about to pass out. I can feel myself about to pass out. I open up the door. All the smoke from the steam room goes flying out of the door. I sit right in the chair. He comes storming out. And he looks at me. He's like, oh, fuck, you don't look good. I go, no, I'm going to pass out. He goes, we got to abort. Abort the mission. Like, we're not doing the rest of the 30 minutes. Like, I got to pass. That was the only pass I got.
Because you almost died in the sauna. Or the steam room.
I was fucked up.
Steam room's different because it's moisture.
And you're taking it in. I was taking in, like, the eucalyptus.
You're getting cooked.
Cooked.
Yeah, I mean, you're really getting cooked. It's not like with sauna, you're getting like kind of dry roasted, but in the moisture is different. Like you can't get as hot in a steam room as you can in a sauna.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this was a series of these, just
getting poached
throughout the
God, no, he would just make these up, like come up with these ideas.
It was just constant, man. Like, I mean, we would go to work. We'd be sitting at work, and I'd have like a 30-minute break, and he'd be like, burpee test. Like, what? I'm at work. He'd be like, I want to see how many burpees you can do in 10 minutes. I'd be like, burpee test. And I would like, in the middle of work, I would like get down, take off my, whatever I was wearing. I would get like my boxers or whatever, like just to get, and I would do as many burpees as I could in 10 minutes and be soaking wet, and I'd walk into my next meeting. And everybody knew that was part of the thing.
So you explained to all these people that wow.
Closed every deal. I closed every deal, man.
Because you're so amped up.
But plus he was there. Who's going to say no? People were fascinated. I'd walk in and they'd be like, at the end of the meeting, I'm like, do you want to talk? He's like, whatever the fuck you guys are in, we're in. We're in.
Wow. That sounds so much better than living with a monk.
It was.
That sounds so much better.
I miss him.
Yeah. Do you keep in touch?
Well, yeah, and we go. I haven't spoken to him in a while, but yeah, I mean, I've known him since 2007 now. I mean, it's been 10 years.
Wow. Yeah, I would think that would be hard, but exciting. Whereas the monk thing seems like the drone of it all would just get to you.
Yeah, and like I couldn't go back to my room and my surroundings in the monk thing. I was like in their world.
Forever.
And
they live in the same way that you did? They have a little cell as well?
Yeah. I actually didn't see their rooms, but yeah, from what I understand, even smaller than what I was in. I was in
smaller than this table?
My room was about the size of this table.
So theirs was smaller?
From what I understand, yeah.
How's that even possible?
Bed. There's no position. There's no, like just a little bed and
just go into a space with a bed. Blackout. Wake up. Start all over again. Drone.
Yeah.
No, I think the 4 miles every 40 minutes or whatever the fuck it is, or 4 miles every 4 hours, that sounds way better.
Yeah.
That sounds crazy.
I did at the time, but yeah.
How'd you end it? How did he end the 30 days?
He left me a note on a Post-it. Thanks.
That's it?
That's it.
Jesus. That's intense. Thanks.
Yeah. Thanks.
Wow. Jesus Christ.
My goodbyes are like long hugs.
Yeah, right.
Exchanging shit, planning. Thanks.
That would be an incredible service. Like, if he wanted to do that, just go to like billionaires and just say you have to do what I tell you to do for a month. I bet a lot of people would do that.
I'm sure.
Just
sure.
charge some fucking stupid amount of money and have him live with you for a month.
You know, that's hard. Anybody, personality-wise, over time, having roommates, it's hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
So he's
hard,
with you
man.
24/7.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard.
Did he ever wake you up?
Every day.
Every day he woke you up.
Yep. Come in and tap me on the shoulder.
Time to get up. Let's do
With
let's
my
do
wife
this.
right next to me.
Jesus Christ.
It wasn't time to do this. It was, get up, motherfucker.
That's what he would say? Well, at least he was courteous. He whispered it so it didn't wake your wife up.
Yeah.
Was your wife like, what in the
She
fuck are
loved
you
him.
doing?
She loved him.
You have no idea what I've gone through in my life. From the fist fights, to the arguments, to the beatings. I still remember my mother taking me into a restaurant bathroom and holding me in a, what's that one name?
Headlock?
The
Guillotine?
other one, guillotine.
And she's punching you?
shooting me. No.
She shot you up?
Yeah.
With
I-
what?
Penicillin.
Oh my God.
Because when I was a kid, I was so sickly.
She got you in a headlock and shot you up.
Listen to me.
Where'd the needle go?
Listen to me.
On top of his head?
Cubans. I had a Cuban doctor, Dr. Orlando Del Valle. He made house calls, okay? He came over. He would come into the room, and this is very funny because I'm going to tell you how fucking hysterical heretics is. Hereditary shit is crazy. Your kids get what you got. Now, he would come over. Now, Dr. Del Valle did a bump from time to time. Now, this is
Your doctor
I'm talking
did
about.
what?
I'm talking about
This is your
1968,
doctor?
69. Please,
bump?
this goes on. Him when he come over. I lived on 205 West 88th Street. He'd bring the little thing, and him and my mom would talk, and my stepdad, and then somebody else would be there, like a chick that would help my mom. And sure enough, he would come over, put the thermometer in my ass, and then look at me and say, Jose Antonio, we have to give you a needle. And I go, give me 5 minutes. Let me think about it. And my mom would go, what's going on? He has to think about it. I swear to God, you don't take that needle, I'll fucking kill you. So then they would go in the fucking parlor to put on Cuban music, and I would like put cartoons on. Like it was inevitable. And then he would have like 2 drinks.
Like, how old are you during this
I'm
time?
5, 6. He would have 2 drinks, then he'd come back in. He goes, Jose Antonio, you ready yet? And I'm like, I'm not ready. So for years, they called me me va a doler. That means it's going to hurt. They would have to hold me down and give me a shot. So then my stepfather, mom, the babysitter, and my mom would be like, I'll fucking knock you out. Stop crying, you fuck. Be a man. I'd be, no, it's going to hurt. Stop it. But I would have an allergy to a certain penicillin. So the next day, my temperature would go up. So he was such good friends with my mom. He goes, listen, this is a continuity thing. Why don't I just leave you with a penicillin, put it in the refrigerator. I'll give you a couple syringes. And whenever he gets sick, just fucking stick him.
Wow.
So we were at a restaurant. I was going to Sacred Heart School for Boys, and my mother was dropping me off at 5 o'clock. We went to a fancy white people restaurant next to Kearny, New Jersey. I'm talking violins like white people in the 70s. This isn't like now, like ha ha ha. These were very conservative white people. And this is the double whammy of the day. You ready? I don't fucking like milk. And my mother used to look under my eyelids. I don't fucking like milk.
What?
Till this day, I don't drink milk.
When you were a kid, you didn't like milk?
No, the taste.
A baby?
None. I drank the
What did you drink as a
I
baby?
drank a tit milk, and one day I got old enough and I just didn't like milk. But my Cuban people have this thing that they look under the eyelids, and my mom would go, "You're weak somewhere," so she would make me drink milk or whatever. So we're at a restaurant, okay, and I'm like, my mom's like, "Drink your milk." I go, "I want Hershey's chocolate." You know, the powder.
Oh, yeah.
In those days, we were either the chocolate powder or the strawberry.
Yeah.
I wanted the strawberry or the chocolate. The guy goes, listen, we don't have that. What I'll do is put a piece of ice cream. I go, give me a milkshake. You know what this motherfucker did? He got a glass of milk, and he put ice cream on the fucking thing, like a scoop of ice cream. So my mom's like, drink the milk. I go, it's just fucking milk with an ice cream on it. My mom was like, I'm in no fucking mood for you today. I'm going to drop you off at the school, but you better drink that fucking milk. We're at a white people restaurant. Do you understand me? In 1972, my mom goes, you got about 5 minutes to drink that milk. I had my little military suit on and shit, my little Catholic suit on, because I had to bring you back with a suit. My mom goes, if you don't fucking drink it, I'm going to pour it over your fucking head in this restaurant. And I was like, I'm telling you right now, I ain't going to fucking drink it.
Oh, my
My
God.
mother took the fucking milk, dumped it on my head in this restaurant. The fucking ice cream sat on my head. I had milk dripping, and then the ice cream slowly melted off my head and fell on my lap. White people were like, what the fuck kind of discipline is this? So my mom's like, wipe your face. So when she wipes my face, Joe Rogan, she goes, do you have a fucking temperature? Because I was such a sickly fucking kid. She goes, you got a fucking... How long have you been walking around with this fucking temperature? I go, I don't know. She goes, let's go in the bathroom.
You're still at the restaurant.
We're still in the restaurant. I go, she goes, I got a syringe.
My God.
She pulls
took
it
me
out
to
of her
the-
purse. She carried it around with her.
Oh, you had, I was that sickly of a
Unbelievable.
kid. I was at the hospital every other week. They knew me on first name fucking basis.
That is crazy.
Wow.
She took me in the fucking ladies' room, locked the door, take your pants off. I'm not doing it. Take your pants. Jose Antonio, please, don't make me give you a beating in this fucking bathroom stall. I'm not doing it. And that's when the beating started. And she got me in one of those fucking things. She unzipped my pants. She punched me in the stomach to loosen me up. Oh, yeah. She was a grinder, dog.
Oh, my God.
And she would shoot me that, thinking about it now, I could get a blood clot. Because my ass, from me tightening up, would get like a purple thing all the way down my leg. Like, I'm lucky I'm fucking alive. I'm lucky I'm alive, dog.
Oh, my God.
I remember I was in Jersey City one time. I fainted on a nurse. I pissed my pants. The nurse comes. I pissed the bed.
Yeah.
This is my first time ever. Now, I pissed the fucking bed, guys. I'm
When you
60
fainted.
No.
Oh.
They put me in the hospital at night for a lung infection. In the middle of the night, I was so scared. I pissed the bed, and it was a rubber bed. So the piss don't go into the mattress. You're just swimming in your own piss. So finally, at 5 in the morning, I get out of this piss fucking juice, and I'm just sitting in the chair looking out the window, and this lady comes in with a little cart, and she's like, Jose Diaz? I'm like, yeah. She's like, I'm here to draw blood. I go, listen, I just fucking pissed the bed. I'm scared shitless. Come back in like an hour. Let me get my head together. What do you got to bother me with a needle for? Look at the shape of me. And she's tormenting me. Well, the doctor says we have to do it right now. Look, I don't care what the doctor's telling you. Let's get some pajamas. Let me take a shower. Let me get bed. Let me eat some breakfast. She's like, no, we got to do it before breakfast. She's breaking my balls constantly. No, we got to do it before breakfast. I'm like, you want a fucking needle, bitch? You want to give me a fucking needle, bitch? Let's go. I got so mad. I don't even know where I got those. At that time, I didn't have balls. But this bitch aggravated me so much, she wanted to see what I was telling her. I'm going to go down. I'm telling you I'm going to go down. You know what this bitch said to me? She goes, then don't sit down. Stand up. It's better if you stand up. Let's go out in the hallway, and the noise will distract you. You won't get that scared feeling. I said, this is not going to end. Like, this bitch was not leaving without my blood. So, you want my blood, bitch? I'll give it to you. I got up. Let's go. We went outside to the fucking hallway. She put the fucking tube around my arm. She had a little cart. I'll never forget, 1979. She had a little fucking cart. She put the thing around me. All I know is she stuck the needle in. Next thing you know, I'm hearing sirens. Okay? And the cart is tipped over. I'm on top of the cart, and she's under the cart. And they've got 2 aluminum things. Remember those things they cracked? You ever fight?
Yeah.
Remember them? They knocked you out? They
Smelling
had
salts.
2 of them in my nose directly. Like to wake me up. They couldn't get me up. They just put them in my fucking nose. Let me tell you about that 13-day experience. Something I'll never forget that shocked me to that day. I still remember from September. They let me out the day Ali lost to Larry Holmes.
Oh, God.
September 28, 1979. They let me out at 2, and I went and did acid at a party. Fresh with the bracelet on. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't even take the bracelet off. There was a party for me, the whole thing. We were fucked up. But one thing I remember about that experience was the third night I was there, how scared I was. And the guy next to me was an old man. And I go, hey, what's your name? And he's like, Italian. He's like, Sal. And I go, Sal, what's going on with you? He goes, well, I had a stroke. And the side of my body that had the stroke is the side that develops the shit. So I'm having a hard time shitting. I go, really? And I'm blowing farts the whole night. It's a 2-man bed. He's in there dying. He's just farting.
A 2-man bed?
It's a 2-man room.
Oh, okay.
And they had a curtain in between.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know if his name is Sal. I'm just making this up.
Right.
Whatever his name was. He was a very nice man. And he had a family, and they come in at night. He'd go, ooh, my stomach hurt. You know, the whole fucking thing. And they tried things on him. I remember one night they were like, that's it. You're either shitting tonight or you're doing surgery in the morning. The doc, I'm listening to the doc. You know, you can hear if they're talking to the guy next door. And I'm like, I wonder what the fuck they're going to do to this motherfucker. They came with like a Ghostbuster gun. It was like a caulking gun. And they had a tube in it, and they put it in his asshole. I'll never forget this, having my little black and white TV and just sitting there watching TV and hearing like, ugh. And all of a sudden, they started squirting water in his ass like an enema with a hose.
Jesus
and they didn't have PPE on. The shit started coming out. And the shit was coming out of his ass. And they're like, run, run. The nurse came and got me. They were like holding me like they thought I was like Biggie getting shot. They were smothering me. There was shit coming out of his ass. Like, remember the Beverly Hillbillies? How the oil would come out of the floor? I will never forget that. That they did everything they could because I knew they think they were, like, I was going to call, like, whoever then, DACA, whoever. Who do you call when they're not cleaning up?
I don't know.
There's somebody you call, like, they make code. Who are the people who make code? Like, whoever make code?
I don't know.
They had to, like, fucking rub my shoulders.
EPA.
APA? Environmental Protection Agency?
Yeah, whatever the fuck.
EPA.
They knew that they didn't come in with the right protection.
Okay.
They just came in like, let's see if this works. But when they stuck it in his ass blew up. They didn't know it was going to work. They were like, maybe it's not going to work. So, you know, they came in very
nonchalant. They came in normal.
Yeah. And when they shot the coking gun with the water up his ass, shit started coming everywhere. It was like a volcano. I'm not kidding you.
And you could see it. The curtain was open. They opened the curtain.
Oh my God! I could smell it. It was like a sewer. And he's like, "Oh!" And I'm like, "What the fuck is going on?" And they were shooting him with water up his ass, like with a hose.
Oh,
and they're like, "Call the nurses! Get towels! Get towels!" And they threw towels down. And that night, I had my own room. I'm in there fucking by myself. They're like, "Mr. Diaz, we're sorry about that." I'm like, "Don't worry about nothing. I won't say nothing."
They gave you your own room.
They gave me a single room.
Well, it's only right.
Were you smoking? Did you do a smoking act?
No, he's like
in the
a
hospital?
doctor.
Oh,
Like a
okay.
doctor.
I didn't know if they were like
tell you
this.
something.
That's Joey Diaz. Like that's when he wins.
I had like a fucking bad lung infection, and they pretty much asked me to leave. 13 days.
Why'd they ask you to leave?
Because it was too much.
What do you mean?
My friends were coming in with cases of beer.
Oh, you were partying there.
With an 8-pack. They were coming with a case of nips. Remember 6
They allowed them to bring beer?
They didn't allow my friends to do anything. They just did it.
Oh.
And then one night they got thrown out and they started throwing furniture out the window at Christ Hospital.
Oh, boy.
And girls used to come in there at night to see me. I was like a stud. When you're in high school and you get sick, everybody comes to see you. You know, I had candy stripers I knew from grammar school. It was Jersey City, so.
The good old days
Yeah,
before social media.
They just drew me the fuck out. They were like, you know what? It's time for you to go. Yeah, you'll be fine. Go see your doctor. I never went to see a doctor again. I took acid that night, September 28th. It was the night Larry Holmes fought Muhammad Ali.
It's harming fiction and harming literature that you can't explore the darker ideas.
You know, you want to see me crucify myself right now?
Yeah.
Okay. This is kind of the career-ending moment. For several years, I was in a writer's workshop, and the core group of us had been meeting since 1990. So this is a workshop that was almost 30 years old. And gradually, people were asking each other not to use certain words. First, you know, nobody really used the N-word, but it was definitely a word you could not bring to workshop. And then in a story, I used the word faggot. And a very good friend of mine said, you're not bringing that word into workshop. You're not writing anything with the F word. And it just became more and more tightly strictured that way. And so eventually I realized we were kind of writing to make each other happy instead of to kind of confront each other. And one of the writers in our workshop is a writer named Cheryl Strayed, who had written a book called Wild, which was a hugely successful book. It was chosen as an Oprah book, and it will be on bookstore shelves for the rest of history. Cheryl's book, Wild. But while she was writing it, she had written a segment about how as a child she would be sat on the sofa with her grandfather, and her grandfather taught her how to masturbate him. And so as a child, she would masturbate her grandfather until he achieved orgasm. And then later, she would find these featherless birds that had fallen out of a nest. And she picked one up, and she knew it would die. So she crushed it between her bare hands. This is a very small child. And she wrote how, as that bird died, crushed between her hands, its death throes, its spasms of death, felt exactly like her grandfather's penis ejaculating in her little hand.
Whoa.
That was the best thing she ever wrote. And her editor at Knopf said, that is not going in this book because we want this book to be a big book. And if we see you jerking off your grandfather and then killing baby birds, that is not going to make Oprah Winfrey happy. So it was a magnificent piece of writing and a magnificent kind of parallel and awareness for a child to have. And this juxtaposition of sexual abuse and death was magnificent. Oh my God, it worked on every level. But the publisher said this is not going to be in the book.
Did she send it to you or did she show it to you?
She brought it to workshop and she read it. There was even a newspaper reporter present there. And we all realized it was fantastically powerful. But then she said, they won't take this. This can't go in. This is not the first workshop I've been bumped out of. The first workshop I was in was a lot of very nice ladies, and I was probably 28. And I had written a scene in which a young man, has done up an inflatable sex doll so it looks exactly like the woman he's obsessed with. And during the seduction of this sex doll, he accidentally snags the back of it with the zipper of its dress. And he realizes during the fornication that it is gradually losing air. So he's got to copulate faster and faster to try to achieve orgasm before this thing completely goes flat. And at the end of the scene, he's standing there with this completely deflated sex doll hanging off of his erection like this the surrender flag. And of course his mother walks into the room. And after I wrote that scene, the leader of the workshop I was in, my first workshop, she took me aside afterwards and she said, the other writers in the workshop no longer feel safe around you. She really did. She said, you've written something that really frightens them, and they would like you to politely leave the workshop and not come back.
Wow.
And so that's when I started with Tom Spanbauer's workshop, in which almost anything went.
That seems to be, if anybody's going to appreciate that, it's going to be creative writers.
But it's not my mind. I'm delving into the deep recesses, if I'm lucky, if I'm doing it right, of your mind, of something that they'll, like comedians, they'll say, oh my gosh, that happened to you too. And a lot of times there are things that people have never, ever talked about. I tell a classic anecdote. After I had read the gut story at an event, a woman came up and she was a middle-aged woman. She was about my age. And she said, I really love that you read that story about how you got your anus prolapsed while masturbating in a swimming pool, which is not my story, but I'm the one that read it. So that's the one I'm the one that they're picturing in this horrendous situation. And she says, since you can tell that story, I'm going to tell you a story. And she said how when she was 7 years old, she was in second grade, and she was in a little organization called the Brownies, which is a precursor to the Girl Scouts. You wear a brown dress, little brown hat, you get these little merit badges. And she said, one day I had a stomach ache, and my mom kept me home from school. And we had this heating pad. It must have been in the 1960s. And this heating pad had this vibrating function. And she put me face down on this heating pad on my stomach. And I fell asleep. And while I was asleep, this vibrating, warm heating pad must have slid down between my legs. She says, because I woke up with the most amazing feeling. A feeling like I'd never felt before. Oh my God, it felt so good. And so next time it was my turn to host the Brownies, I said, Brownies, you've got to try this heating pad. And she says, all the Brownies, they turned the heating pad on, the vibrating heating pad, and they rode it like a pony all afternoon. And she said it was like Sex in the City for 7-year-old girls. They could not get enough of this heating pad. And they were all riding this heating pad, and they had a great time. And she said, and for the first time in my life, I was the most popular girl in my class. And I was the girl that all the girls wanted to play with. And for every Brownie troop meeting, it was at my house. And I was the leader until the day that my mother came home from work early. And she caught us with a heating pad. And she sent the other Brownies home. And she whipped the cord out of the wall. She just ripped it out of the socket. And she started to beat me with it. And she beat me with that cord. And she beat me. And she said, you fucking piece of shit. You dirty whore. What kind of a fucking whore am I raising? You whore. And she beat me and she beat me. And she says, this woman who's my age now, she says, I have not had an orgasm since I was 7 years old. And then she goes, but if you can tell that swimming pool story about how you got hurt, jacking off underwater, she says, I can tell my heating pad story. And I can tell that story until I can make it funny. And then maybe someday I can go back to my mom and I can say, do you remember that heating pad we used to have? And it'll be complete.
Holy shit.
And so see, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to create the opening for people to tell these stories that they never thought that they could tell. Because that's the way in which they're going to resolve these stories. And they're going to master these stories.
Comedy. If someone's telling a joke, if someone's on stage talking about someone who's fat, and there's a fat person in the front row, that joke will bomb.
Yeah.
It just, yeah. But that's because people are good people overall. You know, they recognize that they don't want to cause pain.
Another really odd comic David Sedaris story is that he always told me, when you're on the road, don't read from your current book. Always read from the next book, because it's a way of road testing the stories and finding out which ones work and should go into the next book. And in doing so, he was telling this story about being in this forensic laboratory as an autopsy was taking place. And this autopsy table was adjacent to this huge indoor window that separated the autopsy suite from this lunchroom. And in the lunchroom were the rest of the forensic staff, and they were all eating their lunches. They all had tuna sandwiches and cans of Coke and barbecued potato chips. And they were watching through the window as this absolutely perfect 12-year-old boy was being autopsied. And just hours before, this kid, like 2 hours before, this kid had been riding his bicycle. He'd fallen over, he'd hit his head on the curb, and now 2 hours later, he was dead. And dead without almost a scratch on him. Just this perfect, naked, dead 12-year-old boy on the autopsy table. And as the technicians eating their lunch, watching it through a window, they watch as the pathologist incises around the top of the kid's face, at the top of the forehead, the hairline, and then peels the face down, like peeling an orange, peels the entire face off of the skull of this little boy and leaves the face around the neck like a mask, like a rubber mask. And this exposes this liver-colored, dark red musculature of the child's underlying face. And this one guy watching it with a mouthful of tuna sandwich, he points this out and he says, "See that? That there? That's the color of red that I want to paint our rec room."
Holy shit.
And when Sedaris told that story in front of 600 people, it was dead silent. And you could hear people weeping. People were crying and they were hating David Sedaris in that moment. And so I had to laugh. I laughed really loud like a donkey. And it was amazing how the hatred in that auditorium swung from hating David, who they did not want to hate, to hating this jackass over here who was actually laughing. And so I threw myself on the sword for David, and that story never went in any book.
Wow. Did the story not go in any book just because of the reaction by the audience or
Yeah.
just the uncomfortable moment? He just decided? Did you
was-
speak to him about it?
No, I didn't. Not afterwards. It was just such an awkward, painful thing. I would never kind of throw it back in his face.
Right.
But to my knowledge, that was the only time the story was told.
Do you have those like scattered about? Are there scenes where you wrote and you just sat and looked at them and went, "No, I just got to put that one somewhere else.
Oh, there are
Set that aside."
jokes that I told where I got hissed by 800 people. And you know, if you can live through those moments, you realize you can live through a lot. If you can be hated by 1,100 people at a Barnes & Noble on Union Square, yeah, you can be hated by your mother. It's okay.
Now, when those people come to see you, how many of those people are fans of literature, and how many of those people are specifically fans of your work? Like, there would be a difference. Like, the people who are fans of your work would at least expect some uncomfortable moments.
And for the most part, they tend to be more or less just fans of my work.
And still hiss.
Oh, yeah, but it's, again, they're hissing on behalf of someone. They're not hissing for themselves. You know, I made this horrible cheap shot, and they always know a cheap shot. People always know a cheap shot. I was commenting about how in Breakfast at Tiffany's, Truman Capote had made this observation that Americans don't like true beauty, true classical natural beauty. They want to see a very plain person who has been so groomed, so exercised, so made up, so stylized, that she can kind of pass as this amazing, strange beauty. That's what Americans want, because natural classic beauty is not egalitarian. You're either born with it or you're not. They want to see a plain person who has been transformed. And to make my point at the end of the story, I made a cheap shot. I said, and that's why we have Sarah Jessica Parker. And I said this in New York. And in New York, Sarah Jessica Parker is worshipped like a god. And that whole crowd hissed and booed and did everything but throw excrement at me.
Wow.
But then later in line, half of them came up and whispered, "That was really funny." Another thing is I'm really, really conflicted about the nature of my creativity. This idea that in journalism school, they call the theory seduce and betray. That when you go into an interview situation, your goal is to gain the trust of that person and to get them to reveal something very intimate that you're going to betray by revealing to the public. So you're basically going in there to charm them and then to hurt them. And so much of my creative process is that way because, for example, the gut story. Mm-hmm. The story in which the guy puts the carrot up his butt, that was my best friend at the time in like late 20s. And he got fantastically drunk and he told me that carrot story. And I honestly believe he had never told anybody the carrot story. And I kept that story in my mind for, 10, 15, almost probably 20 years until I found a way to put it with 3 similar stories and make a larger piece out of it. And the first time I read that story, I hadn't seen him in maybe a couple of years, this friend. And I look across this big auditorium, and there he is. And I'm telling his carrot story in front of hundreds and hundreds of people. And the look on his face, he's just stricken. And he hasn't talked to me since. And this is why, even David.
But did you use his name?
No.
Then fuck him.
No, but
What's wrong with him?
People still feel betrayed. And
Get over it. You need to hang out with more comedians. If he was a comic, you'd be laughing.
well, David Sedaris has told me, he said his family is very reluctant to share their lives with him anymore because he's kind of made them involuntary public figures, and they have to deal with the fallout from these stories about them. And really only his brother and his sister Amy have kind of been able to spin this in a good way. But it alienates a lot of people. I had a hired car from Philadelphia to New York once on tour. And as we were going past Liberty Hall in Philadelphia, this great guy with a Philly accent driving the car, he points at Liberty Hall and he says, "That building has stood for 300 years. I bet you can't tell me why." And I just looked and I said, "Because the bricks are laid in Flemish bond. I think that's probably it. Where the bricks are offset in such a way that they bond in the center. It's called Flemish bond." And the guy's so silent. Nobody's ever answered the question. And his father was a bricklayer, and he was so proud. And he goes, "You're right. Nobody's ever said Flemish bond. That's why it still stands." And we were best friends and just talking like crazy all the way into Manhattan. We get into Manhattan. There's 2 guys walking down the street. The guy goes, "Oh, Christ, I hate coming to New York. The fags." And I said, "Well, I'm married to a man, and faggot is pretty much my middle name." And that poor guy had to do this whole sort
dance,
of rejuggling of everything. That the guy who knew Flemish bond was also one of them. And it was one of those wonderful kind of icky but necessary moments. And, they're horrible, but, things are better afterwards.
You must have loved that moment, though. You?
No, it was a horrible moment because I felt like I was throwing away any kind of chatty, conversational relationship I had with this guy. He seemed like just a salt of the earth, great, funny guy. And it was just kind of going out on a limb and saying, okay, he's going to hate my guts after this. So
I remember, because I was joking with him, I remember a long time ago, the Grill 93, this old Dick Doherty room.
I remember that joint.
So 2 guys were about ready to go at it in the club, and the bouncer gets them outside. Okay, and this guy's trying to say his point of view, and he put his hand on his shoulder. He goes, "No, all I was trying to do," and he barely went like that on his shirt. And he goes, "Okay, first of all, don't touch me." That's what the bouncer said. And just immediately it was here, and then it went to here, and then those 2 guys started yelling at each other, and then within I don't know what the fuck, he just twisted the guy up and took him out. And I forget who the fuck I was with. We were fucking dying laughing. It just became a catchphrase between us. He would come up, "Hey, Bill, you working this weekend?" Okay, first of all, don't touch me. You immediately just escalate it, where it just becomes a what the fuck. And then, first of all, don't touch me. From 90% of guys is immediately going to put you in your ego, where it's like, oh fuck, now he's on top of me and I'm the bitch. I gotta at least get a little get at his eyebrow level. I have to come back with something else. It was inevitable. The second he said that, first of all, don't touch me, I did like the 3 slide steps down, because I learned that young, watching fights. You don't want to have a really good seat, because it's like a tornado. You don't know where it's going to go, and you think you're like 20 feet away. That met me at a Bruins game, the old Boston Garden, and it was like one of those, just everybody smoking. You probably couldn't smoke in the garden at that point. I just remember like smoky bars and shit. So we went in there and everybody was hammered. I was hammered, drinking like fucking Heffenreffers. Remember the Green Death, right? Like, dude, this is like 6% alcohol. So some like one of those 2 rows of fans fighting, which is always great because like the people that are a row up are just throwing down. These guys getting fucking pounded. There's always a loafer laying there, right? Mike Milbury picking it up. So I remember the cops ran up there, and I ran up too to watch the fight, and they started grabbing guys and coming down the stairs, and it was the Boston Guard, and there was nowhere to go. And I just remember this big cop bounding down the stairs. He literally had a handful of this guy's neck. It was like his whole neck and his jugular, and this guy was two colors. I just remember he was going, try to push me down the stairs, and he came down like... And I was trying to get out of the way, and I think the guy who he had grabbed, like his knee fucking hit me in the back. You know, I just got caught by the debris of this guy running by, and that's when I kind of learned, like, you know, how to watch your fight, which you watch your fight and you're looking at your exits, because like I said, it's like you don't know where it's going to fucking go. And I had learned that lesson, so when I saw that guy say that, first of all, don't touch me. I was just like, okay, sliding over here, let some other people settle in front of me. I can do. I like doing that.
Yeah, that's the same as if, you want to be above, slightly above, looking down at all the altercations. You get a better viewpoint there anyway.
Yeah, I suck at it, dude. I stopped fighting in like junior high. That was it. I just knew. I was like, this is not my thing. I can't slip a punch. I am slow as shit. I got a big head. I got a huge target. This is not going to go 3 rounds. It's just not. I fought up until like around 6th grade. I think I probably had my last one. And then all of a sudden, kids started to get 120, 130, 140 pounds, and there started being blood and fucking people missing a couple days of school after a beatdown. I was just like, you know what? Okay. I think I'll be the funny guy.
It's weird how things go sideways like that when there's like a feeling in the air. Whenever chaos breaks out like that and there's a real melee, there's a feeling in the air. Like it's just like you feel it. It's like, oh, this is nuts. Like this is really dangerous.
Yeah.
Like there's a mob mentality feeling that you get that's real weird when things go crazy.
I remember it took me having to leave Boston for about 7 years. I was gone for 7 years before I finally walked into a bar and just felt the normal energy. I think the city's changed a lot, but like that sort of that tail end of the craziness. I walked into a bar and you could just feel it. It's like somebody's going to get suckered. Like, not now. It's about 90 minutes away. You could just feel the level of drunkenness, the energy.
Well, guys would go out looking for fights. Some guys would go out looking for fights.
Yeah, I knew.
There's
guys
a guy
like
I used to train with, Mike Blythe. He used to work at the Rathskeller. He was a bouncer. He would wrap his hands. He would wrap his hands on his way to work.
I knew a guy.
Tape his wrists and shit.
I knew a guy who was a bouncer, and he used to bring a mouthpiece to work, but he used to carry it all the time. And I remember when he would get into a fight, he would fucking it was something where it was a mouth guard who'd bite down. It wasn't like what you guys wear, but it would totally psych the other guy out. Like he would come out and he would just put this thing in, and the guy'd be like, "This guy brought equipment? Like, like what the fuck is going on here?" And I remember one time he got suckered. He knew it was going to be a fight, and I figured, well, for some dumb reason, he sat down on the stairs, and the guy was standing above him, and one of his friends jumped down and just punched him, and I saw the mouthpiece. It was like fucking Buster Douglas Tyson. I saw his mouthpiece fly towards us, and then just... I shouldn't tell these stories, because I don't know, because it's my version of what... It was a long, like...
You're not naming names.
It was like 30 years ago, and what happened was we were... in an off-campus apartment, and I can't believe I'm going to tell this story. I'm going to tell the quick version.
Tell the whole version.
No. 2 of my buddies left to go upstairs. It was one of those, those old fucking Boston... It looked almost like a 3-family house, but it wasn't. It was one of those big ones that has all apartments in it, right? So they left the party we were on the first floor, and then they went upstairs. And like 20 minutes, they came back. One of my buddy's shoulders was separated. The other guy, flat lip, and he had a flat top too. And maybe he had this big fucking gash coming right down here, and blood coming down his face. And we were like, "What the fuck happened? What the fuck happened?" He was like, "We just asked this guy for a drink, and the whole party started beating on us." So this whole mob goes up the stairs to go fight the party, right? And I'm going upstairs like, what the fuck am I doing with my big fucking head? I'm going to get knocked out here. But I have to go because of my friends. So we fucking go up there. And we hear the party. So my buddy, the mouthpiece guy, like the most innocent void ever, knocks on the door. He goes, hey. He's like, is there a party going on in there? Right? And the fucking door opens up. And it was like a fucking Wild West movie. Like a saloon fight. Just fucking haymakers. I remember I didn't even want to go in. I was so scared because I was like, oh my God, this is going to be fucking nuts. And just the mob just sent me in. And it was just like everybody's just throwing. I remember this dude jumping over my back, punching me in the face, right? And the smoke fucking clears and it all settles. You know, it was all like fucking 15-second melee and it all fucking settles. And we look at the party and there's like 6 or 7 guys, 6 or 7 girls, and there's like a board game that's tipped over. And we had gone to the wrong party. Swear to God, I know this sounds like a joke. The real party where they got hit was upstairs. And I don't remember what happened, but they were actually rich kids and they sued my friends for going in, whatever the dumb shit they did.
Oh, no.
We all went into the wrong party. And they were in there having like a couples thing. And they were playing like fucking Monopoly or something. And all of a sudden there was a knock on the door. Hey, is there a party? And then everybody just came fucking running in.
Can you imagine them?
That's what I'm saying. No, I felt that's why I didn't want to tell because I felt really like, yeah, I felt bad.
When I was in high school, the first real brawl that I ever saw was when I was like 17. I think I was a senior in high school. And there was a rich kid that moved into the neighborhood. He wanted to make friends. So he put on this crazy party. He just invited everybody. So kids from all kinds of different high schools were coming.
That's always good.
Yeah, Newton North, Newton South, a bunch of kids from all sorts of other places. And I happened to be at the right place at the right time when I saw it pop off. People were already robbing this guy. I saw people taking stuff out of bedrooms and running down the stairs with it. It was real sketchy because there was way too many people for this guy's party.
God.
But then this girl, I still to this day don't remember what she did. She either slapped this guy in the face or she threw a drink in his face. I don't remember. I think she slapped him. But what I remember is he uncorked a perfect right hand on her. He knew how to punch. Like, I remember thinking, wow, this guy's trained because he snapped it.
Joe, always the commentator.
Listen, I've been doing it for a long time. But whatever she did, I'm pretty sure she slapped him. But he went like this. Blap! I mean, it was a perfect right hand. Hit her right in the face. Her head goes back. This guy behind her catches her. She's totally unconscious. And then, blah! Chaos, chairs flying, bodies piling it up, and I'm on the stairs. So I'm watching this through the railings. I see the guy punch the girl as I'm coming up the stairs. I see it all play out. I'm like, holy fuck. And I'm like, I got to get out of here.
Yes.
And there was piled. I didn't hit anybody, and nobody hit me. It was like a movie. Like, excuse me, pardon me.
Crawling out.
I fucking dodged everything. Meanwhile, I was fighting at the time. I was traveling to tournaments all over the country and fighting. So my friends were looking for me. They're like, go get Joe. And there's piles of people brawling, and I'm just ducking the piles. And then I ran into my friend Jimmy, and I'm like, where is everybody? And we gathered our friends and got in the car and drove off. We were laughing our asses off. But it was like when we left, the cops were just starting to arrive. There was piles of kids beating the shit out of each other on the lawn.
Dude, I remember
my
friend who separated his shoulder in that fight. We popped it back in, and he went back up, threw a punch with the same arm, and missed. It came out again, and I remember him flopping on the ground like a fish out of water. And afterwards, we said to him, like, dude, why didn't you throw the other hand? And he goes, because I wanted this hand to get its revenge. I swear to God. Like he had made his part of his body like a karate movie. Like he had to avenge his shoulder's death. Dude, and I have to tell you something. When people talk about, you're a funny comedian and blah, blah, the characters that I grew up with and what I loved about what they did and what they said was they weren't trying to be funny. Like he was dead serious.
He wanted revenge for this harm.
Yeah, and then we were driving home hammered. And we were 3 abreast in the fucking the pickup truck. It was this guy's dad's truck, and he had the flat top, so he's got dried blood on his forehead. And we're just driving home, and nobody's saying anything. And the dude in the middle has got these sunglasses on, and he's just sitting there like this. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he goes like that, scared the fucking shit out of me. And I was like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? And he goes, sorry. He goes, I took a little acid. He goes, I was looking at this bug. He goes, I thought it was on the windshield. He goes, it turned out it was on the inside of my glasses. Now, I don't know if that was true. But dude, there's no way you could ever reenact how much he flipped it, like how much you would freak out on acid if you thought a bug was over there, but then your mind told you that it was on the inside of your fucking glasses. And I just remember all three of us just crying, laughing, driving home at this, just the whole fucking situation. And that was like every weekend of my life for like probably like 2.5, 3 years. Every single fucking weekend. And we used to go in to there was this club in this bar in Chelsea.
Oh boy.
Yeah, well, dude, I was such a baby face. That was the only place where you could get served, right? So
That's a rough place.
yeah, it was, yeah. And they were like selling fucking blow out of there. So they didn't give a fuck if you looked like you were 12 years old, like I was when I go up to order my vodka Collins. It was like the only drink.
How old were you?
I wasn't of age, like 19 or 20, probably 20. And I would go in there, and I just remember one time standing outside that bar, and there was this fucking dude who looked like Rob Halford from fucking Judas Priest, just fucking totally gacked out of his fucking mind, standing in front of his motorcycle. And he was telling this story about riding his bike and his drug thing. He got stuck. He just kept saying, I'm going around the apex. I'm going around the apex. Right? Go around the apex, right? And I'm fucking hammered. And I'm like making fun of the guy in front of him to my buddy. I'm looking at my buddy, and I'm so shit-faced. I'm going around the apex. I'm going around the apex, and he's hitting me because the guy's staring at me.
Oh.
Yeah, no, it was a, and I didn't understand, like, because I never did coke, so I didn't understand what was going on. I'm going to leave it at that. I didn't understand what was going on. But all I knew is I just seemed to be the guy that wanted to go home first. I'll leave it at that.
That was a fucking dangerous place. Boston was dangerous.
No, this is when I figured out what the fuck was going on. Was one time I went into the bathroom by myself to take a leak. And it was one of those things you walk in, there was a sink, there was a stand-up urinal, and then there was a stall, which just had one toilet. And I walked in, and there was two fucking guys in there. And I was like, what the fuck are those guys doing? And so my dick's already out, and I'm taking a piss. And they opened, like, the thing, because it didn't have a latch, opened up, and they had, like, they were doing blow. And I was taking a piss because it was weird. It was two guys in there, and I kind of glanced over as I'm already pissing. I look over, and this guy's all fucking hammered, like a little werewolf. He's like, what the fuck are you looking at? And I was just like, pee. Didn't wash my hands after that one. No, there was a lot. I don't know why. Because a lot of, like easy targets really got hit, and I was beyond an easy target. And somehow I just never, I never asked. Yeah, I did, because I would have got really. I was not as tough as my friends were. My friends were fucking lunatics, But my grade was cool, but like the grade above me and grade below me, they were like some fucking. They were crazy
When I talked
kids.
to friends that grew up in other places, they didn't have the same amount of fight stories. I think Boston is a particularly fighty place.
Fighty.
You know what I'm saying?
I don't know what. Yeah, there was something going on. But I mean, I think a lot of those east, like New York and, fuck, this thing's going out. A lot of those, like I find the people in like New England, Long Island, tri-state area, it's all sort of the same.
Savages. Savage children of immigrants. That's what it is.
Yeah, but you go out to the Midwest, and that's like German, a lot of Slavic people, Polish people. So, I mean, I don't know what. I think they just had more space out there. So it wasn't as intense. You weren't so, like, packed in.
You're in a cornfield. There's something about Boston, though, in particular. I think even more so than New York. Boston was just a lot of fights, man. My boxing coach got his finger bitten off on a fight. He was on PCP. This guy bit his finger off. And he had his toe removed and replaced his finger with a toe. Did I tell you this?
No, I remember that was the move back then.
So he had it curved permanently so that he could still throw right hooks. So his when you would shake his hand, he would always give you one of these. He was like,
Yeah,
hey,
I
how
knew
you
a guy
doing?
from Boston too. He had this weird looking nose, and some guy had bit it off and had it
Jesus
reattached.
Christ.
Guy's lost ears. Dude, that's
Yeah.
why I'm saying why, you know, right around 6th grade, I was just like, yeah, this is like becoming blood sport. Like, I think I'm going to try to be funny here. But yeah, there was a lot of, but there was also a lot of, you know, the sports scene back in Boston is just,
hockey.
was insane.
Yes.
I mean, I wrote a book about Operation Paperclip, and
Yeah.
my God, talk about a rabbit's hole. You
That's
know?
a rabbit hole.
It's a rabbit hole.
Let's explain to people that don't know what we're talking about. Operation Paperclip was when, after World War II, the United States gathered up a ton of scientists from Nazi Germany, brought them over to America, and even Werner von Braun. They had Werner von Braun run NASA. He was a Nazi, like 100% Nazi.
Good friends with Hitler type Nazi.
Yes, he was. He ran a Berlin rocket factory where they hung the 5 slowest Jews. They would hang them out front so everybody would know, like, this is what happens when you work slow. We'll hang you. I mean, the Simon Wiesenthal Center said that if Werner von Braun was alive today, they would prosecute him for crimes against humanity.
Yes, they would.
And that was the head of NASA. That was the head of NASA. That was the guy who got us to the moon. That was the big cheese guy. Yeah. So we were willing to put a lot of really dark things aside in order to gather up the best scientists so that the Soviet Union couldn't get them all. And they got a few of them as well. But we got how many? More than 1,000, right?
Allegedly 1,400, but I would not be surprised if, you know, the story changes and there were more, right?
Yeah.
But that goes back to our discussion earlier about being in pole position. I mean, that's
Yeah.
why we grabbed those Nazis. We were like, if we don't get them, the Russians will.
I get it. And, you know, and I'm sure the Nazis could say, I didn't want to do it. They made me. I'm a nice person. I love Jews. You know?
Well, that was part of the mythology. It was like we got the good Germans. Well,
Right,
no, we
right,
didn't.
right.
We got the top Germans, and who do you think the top Germans were?
Yeah.
They were coveted by Hitler, Himmler, Goring. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys were. Right. I mean, there were guys that we grabbed out of the docks at Nuremberg, literally, to come be part of our program. You know.
Well,
One of these
if you're
guys.
smart, you're an asset, right? I mean, that's what Genghis Khan used to do. He'd take warlords from the other side and capture them and go, listen, just come over here, bro. Come on. Work for me. I'm the man.
I mean, what, you know, ideology aside, I'm super smart and I want that to be known. That's kind of that's the competitor, right? I mean,
Sure.
you cannot be the best rocket designer in the world and not want those talents, you know, demonstrated. That's
Sure.
Werner von Braun's story. That's the story of all of them. And that was so shocking writing that book because it's like, wow, you know, huge amounts of talent, but how far will the competitor go to see their baby come to fruition? What are they willing to put aside?
Yeah. Did you pay any attention to the other places where Nazis went when they escaped Germany, like Argentina in particular? Have you ever seen any of that stuff? Where they have entire German towns down in Argentina.
Right?
They do Oktoberfest down there. They wear lederhosen. They drink out of steins. It's crazy. They speak German. And you're like, what the fuck is this? Like, my friend Tim Kennedy went down there, and he said he was literally talking to people, interviewing people, and they had photos of SS soldiers on their wall, and they would talk about how grandfather was a hero, and they're like, like, you're the descendants of escaped Nazis. And they put together a town down there.
I mean, the way the Nazis were able to flee is I can't read enough of that. I mean, that's what Jamie and I were talking about. It's like,
dark.
Oh my God. And it's endless. I mean, they're so, you know, the ones that there was a famous guy that we got. He was the Surgeon General of the Third Reich. I mean, think about that, okay? Dr. Walter Schreiber. I mean, he was such a bad dude. He was in charge of the vaccine program. I mean, you just put those words together and your mind goes really dark, right? But we wanted him because he was an expert in vaccines. And we brought him to the United States. He was the only Nazi I found of the ones, the paperclip scientists who came here, that was actually outed, right? He was outed as a Nazi. And that's because one of the investigators at the Nuremberg trials recognized him.
Oh, Jesus.
And he's the only one we got out of here. And guess where he went?
Argentina.
and lived out the rest of his life there.
The show was called Finding Hitler. They were trying to find evidence that Hitler somehow escaped. It was really a bullshit premise to the show, but what was interesting is that there were thousands and thousands of Nazis that made it to Argentina and set up shop. It's throughout South America. There's a lot of Germans down there. It's kind of weird.
If you can imagine me on book tour of like the kind of questions I get, because we're talking, right? Having written books about Area 51, Nazis,
Jesus.
right? Assassins.
How are you still alive?
People, just last night I was at a book giving a signing, and people are like, "Is Hitler really dead?" You know?
Oh, God.
Right?
What if he was alive? He'd be the oldest man alive.
Right?
Can you imagine? He was probably like, how old was he during World War II? He had to be in his 40s,
Yeah,
right?
he'd be hundreds. No, but right? Or they say he cloned himself.
He'd be
all right?
160 years old.
He'd be 120 now.
Well, that's what he'd be?
1889.
Oh, Jesus.
Jamie knows.
That's an old man. I mean, there's been 120-year-old people, but it's fucking pretty rare. Yeah. So Operation Paperclip was not even publicly acknowledged until, what was it, like the 90s? Like when did it become public? I think it was through the Freedom of Information Act, was it?
It was this very intrepid journalist named Linda Hunt who...
Shout out to Linda.
Yeah. I mean, she broke the story. That's what's amazing. I mean, as a journalist, you're always writing on the shoulders of those before you, right? And she had it really hard because she did a Freedom of Information Act request, got all these documents that no one had ever seen. And then the government sent her a bill for $125,000. And she had to spend a lot of time. This is what I understand. I never interviewed her, but for Xeroxing fees.
What?
Yeah. I just love that detail because it's such a covert way of getting someone to stop. It's like, okay, here's the information we had to give it to you, but now here's your bill. Imagine if the government's coming down on you for $125,000.
Yeah, see,
You're
that would make me
uncomfortable.
want to call a bunch of rich people and go, hey, let's all just donate $1,000 to this lady.
And it's a different world now. You could do that. You could do a GoFundMe campaign.
100%.
But my God, in the 80s and the 90s, you were
Right.
just like out on a limb.
Yeah, they would crush you financially.
Right?
We actually had this very same discussion yesterday with my friend Phil Demers, who's being sued by Marineland. And because of he was a walrus trainer and trained orcas, and he's showing how
Blackfish?
horrific. It wasn't Blackfish,
Okay.
that's SeaWorld, but
Okay.
SeaWorld is actually, the way he says, it's a day in the park compared to Marineland. Marineland's a horrific place in Canada. And anyway, they have been trying to squash him with legal fees by dragging out his case. But we set up GoFundMes, and all his legal bills get paid for from people that want him to win the good fight. And this is an option today that wasn't available to Linda when she was exposing this.
Exposing Nazis.
$125,000. You assholes! Like she should sue them for misappropriation of funds. Like, does it cost you really $125,000 to print those things out? If it does, you guys should be in jail. Like that's like
Right.
with like those $10,000 hammers that they have in the Pentagon.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she gets all this information, and does the government immediately acknowledge that they imported these
No.
Nazis?
No, I mean, she wrote the first book, and it was just stunning. And
What year was this?
Late 80s, early 90s.
Okay.
And, then more gets revealed because they gave her a certain amount. I mean, I filed a bunch of FOIAs. There was releases. I went to Germany.
FOIA meaning Freedom of Information
Act, yes. Then I went to Germany and looked in their archives with like a fellow, a German PhD who had, real access to stuff and was able to translate for me while we were there looking at this stuff. I interviewed a lot of grandchildren of Nazis and children of Nazis. And, this one extraordinary, oh my God, there's a guy, I told you about Schreiber, right? I'm on the narrative level, humans acting, I'm so interested in rivalry and competition, right? As a concept, because this is what America does to be the best, and also as humans, right? Because people are like that. They're built like that. So the Nazis had rivals amongst themselves, and Schreiber's rival was Dr. Blum, who was in charge of the biological weapons program for Hitler, okay? And Blum had a son, and Blum was prosecuted at Nuremberg. You can see a picture of him with a big dueling scar. You know, he was a bad dude. He
He
was
had a dueling scar?
dueling scar.
Duel like a sword duel?
Sword fighting. It was like among the Nazis, they would duel with one another when they were younger students, and then they would pack the wound with horsehair to make it even more pronounced because it looked ferocious.
Really?
Look, pull up, Jamie. Pull up.
I got a couple. What's his name?
Well, you can pull up Dr. Blum, Blome,
Yes, this is him.
but also
Look at that big ass scar on his
right?
face.
And also, if you pull up Kurt Debus, who was the director of our JFK Center. He was NASA's von Braun's number 2. He had a huge dueling scar, and yet when there he is right there. Knowing what we know now, it's like, come on, you're trying to tell me that guy's not a hardcore Nazi?
So those guys had dueling scars on their faces.
Yeah, you see him?
How often did they duel?
Well, when they were
Did
in
they
college,
do it to the death?
No. It was like on guard, you know, and then
like
they would
fencing.
Fencing.
Oh, this guy had it too.
Yep.
How did they not get poked in the eyes?
Oh, I guess that was the gentleman's rules.
How do you listen? You go in for the cheek, you hit the eye. Like happens all the time. I mean, they must have cut a lot of eyeballs out.
I haven't seen any photographs of missing eyeballs, but there's a lot right on the cheek. So maybe that was the whole point. It was actually just a bit for show.
Oh,
right.
How weird.
But it was
a badge of honor.
It was a
for
badge of
Washington
honor.
County,
Yeah.
There's more.
But
wow, so they all had it on their face.
Yeah.
It's all in the same spot, dueling scars.
Yeah.
Wow.
So imagine,
they wanted to have these scars.
That was
Jesus Christ. Oh, they had goggles on.
Oh, there you go. That's how they didn't take out the
Academic
eyeballs.
fencing, it says. Academic fencing. So what they were essentially doing, they were having fencing matches with real swords, not with ones with tips.
Okay.
Wow. And cutting their faces up. Fuck, man. Oh, Jesus, look at this guy's face. Yikes. Wow. Dueling cults. That is crazy.
So when you consider that people did not know about that, and then you've got these Germans walking around America as part of our space program and our science programs, and these are the good Germans. I mean, now you really have to say to yourself, come on, guys.
They were all Nazis.
Right?
Big ass fucking scars on their face.
Absolutely.
Wow. Oof. That's dark, man.
OG Fight Club.
Yeah, right. OG.
Don't talk about Fight Club.
Super OG. Yeah. God, it's crazy. Wow.
So I go to interview. Sometimes you, as a journalist, you can get amazing information from.
Look at these guys. Oh my God, they're sliced up.
Badge
History
of
of
honor.
European martial arts.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Well, I mean, that is a martial art. I mean, it's an art of war. It really is. Sword fighting is a martial art. I mean, many martial arts have weapons. Ugh. Sorry.
Yeah.
So you go to interview these people.
So to piece together the story,
Yes.
right? I can't tell you, others can, right? Sometimes to find out more about the Nazis, I went to Germany and sought out some children of these top Nazis to see if maybe they didn't have journals or anything they might share with me. And one of them was Dr. Blum. His son, I tracked down, I found him. And he said, yes, you may come visit me. And it was such a remarkable journey. It was like he lived in the Black Forest. I had to take a taxi through the mountains, up over the hill, down through the valley, into a courtyard behind a church to Dr. Blum's house. So he was the junior to his father, who was this horrific Nazi. I mean, a top Nazi had favor of the Führer, wore what was called the Golden Party Badge, right? Hitler gave out these little buttons. Blum's was, I believe, number 6. So that's how favored he was.
Wow.
And his son, Dr. Kurt Blum, whereas the father was in charge of the biological weapons program. So his plan was to, murder people with biological weapons from nature, right? The son had been a medical doctor, but had left the profession to cure people with flowers. It's called Bach flower therapy. So he was this very interesting individual who had never given an interview before, and he agreed to let me come to him. So I go on that journey, I go to his house, and he was remarkable. I mean, he was so interesting. Talk about the sins of the father, I mean, my God, what he had as a burden, right? And I asked him to tell me everything he could about his father, and he did. And then he asked me to tell me what I knew about his father. I had information from the German archives about his father that he did not have.
Like what kind of stuff?
Like that his father had given something. I'd just come from this archive and found these documents. Dr. Blum ordered that 6,000 tubercular Jews be given Sonderbehandlung. That's the German word. What does that mean? Special treatment. There's a euphemism for you. That was kill those 6,000 tubercular Jews.
When you say tubercular, is that people with tuberculosis?
Yes, they were suffering from tuberculosis. And Dr. Blum worked closely with Himmler, and they just decided to kill them. And, sitting there talking to this man, telling him about his father at his request was remarkable. And then he's telling me what he knows. And then as I'm getting ready to leave, he says to me, I'd like you to have these. And he takes down from his incredible bookshelf. He himself had written 8 books, right? And he takes down these books and he hands them to me. And they're in these wrappers. And I can see that they have Nuremberg nomenclature on them. And what they are is they're his father's documents from his Nuremberg trial. Oof. And I'm like, I can't take these. I thought he meant take them back to my hotel room, look at them, and then, bring them back the next morning when we were doing the next interview. And he said, no, I want you to have them. And I was like, I can't have them. And he said, I don't want them, and you should have them. And he gave them to me. So I had this stack. So I was like, on my trip home, it was so perplexing because I threw out all of my clothes. I was like, screw the clothes. I mean, I travel with a carry-on bag, right? So in my carry-on bag, all I have is this Nazi paraphernalia.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
in Germany. That is Dr. Blum's, the Deputy Surgeon General of the Third Reich's documents from Nuremberg covered with swastikas.
Oh, my God.
I mean, he was acquitted at Nuremberg based on all these documents, okay? And, by the way, based on human experiments. And I'm at the airport and I realize suddenly, oh, my God, swastikas, this is illegal. If they go through my bag, I'm going to be arrested. I'm carrying these incendiary...
Right. Do you have any copies of your book on you? So you
I
can say,
hadn't written
I'm
it
a
yet.
journalist, but other books.
No. I was just
Oh my God,
holding my
you gotta
breath.
have at least one.
Joe, I was sweating almost as hard as I was sweating at the beginning of this interview. Right?
I think you're sweating harder.
I was. I went through, because, I was like, wow. I went through, no problem. Got home. I have them in my office.
So they didn't check anything?
Nope. They didn't say boo.
Lucky you didn't go through Israel.
Oh, my God. Well, you know what? The swastika is not outlawed there, but it is in Germany. You may not have any Nazi paraphernalia whatsoever. In fact, my paperclip book, which has a swastika on it, had to be redesigned, the cover for the German publication. And it just has broken up images of the Nazis because you cannot reproduce that image in Germany.
I'm not pro swastika, but it's so strange that we've given so much power to this design that you can't even see it. It used to be there's a temple out here that I believe it's a Hindu temple, and it was a part of Hinduism. That this swastika predates World War II. It predates the Nazis. It predates their sort of reclaiming of it. And this building that was built out here in I think it was built in the 1920s, has swastikas on it. There's a big plaque explaining why there's swastikas on it.
I know they have it at a different angle, right?
Yeah.
But talk about branding, right?
I know, right?
My God, and the Nazis were, kings of that. They were
not only that, the mustache. That guy killed that mustache. There's not another thing like that.
But he didn't kill the dueling scar, right? That could come back.
Do you think?
No, not after your show. What do you have? 4 million viewers?
Probably.
Right?
But people don't think about it that way. They don't think about the dueling scars being a Nazi thing.
No, that's what I find remarkable, right? They really don't.
But the Nazis did.
The Nazis did. And then you look, there's an amazing photograph of JFK, Lyndon Johnson, Kurt Debus sitting at, for a launch, a moon launch. And there's Davis with his huge dueling scar. And I'm like, and their position was, he's one of the good Germans.
Well, that culture was a culture of ruthlessness. It was even the good ones. There he is.
Yes. Good job, Jamie. Look at that. Can you believe that?
Scar on his face.
They still give out an award, by the way, that's called the Kurt Debus Award. And I rang them up and said, like, why are you guys giving out this award? He was a hardcore Nazi.
What do they say?
They were like, they've hemmed and hawed, and I finally said, well, at least tell me what you say to people who ask that question. You know what they said?
What?
No one's ever asked us that question before, Annie.
Well, they will now. Jesus. Oh, it's when you really stop and think about the horrific nature of what the Nazis did. I mean, how inhuman it was, and how crazy it was. Like, that had to permeate the entire culture. There's no good Nazis. There was not one. Even one of them that was looped into that had to be responsible for some awful, awful shit.
I mean, Einstein said it the best when he said, you could have left. Like, people who could have left should have left,
Yes.
right?
Well, do you know the story of Fritz Haber, right? The guy who
Yes.
I mean, he wound up having to flee, and he's the guy who created Zyklon gas. And he created Zyklon A, which had smell built into it, so that it would warn you when you were using this pesticide. And then the Nazis turned it into Zyklon B, where they removed that element that added the smell and just this odorless, horrific, poisonous gas that they used to gas the Jews. And he was a Jew.
I mean, then when you think about it, he was no longer useful to them because when they figured out he really was a Jew.
Yeah.
And
Well,
they shipped
once
him
World
off.
War II came around, see, he was a part of World War I when they first started using gas. And there's a great Radiolab podcast about it. I think it's called The Bad Show. But anyway, what essentially it says is that he was up for the Nobel Prize at the same time he was wanted for crimes against humanity. Because he was up for the Nobel Prize for creating the Haber method of extracting nitrogen from the atmosphere, which was used for fertilizer, which to this day they say 50% of the nitrogen in human bodies was created by the Haber method. So what you get from food, from vegetables, like that nitrogen, 50% of it at least, is coming from this guy's method, who was a scientist, who was a Jew, who was working in Germany before it became Nazi Germany, and then was the guy who figured out how to use gas on people. It's a dark. His story is a
dark tale.
story. I mean, he died looking for medical treatment because he had to flee Germany, and he's had a bad heart. And he died on the road trying to get to Switzerland. I think it was Switzerland.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, Nazi Germany is like the pole position taken way too far. Right? And that's what's remarkable, that the Pentagon was like, okay, but we can learn from this.
Mm-hmm.
And there are elements that are dark in that.
Well, it also comes out of the devastation of World War I, right? The economic devastation, the defeat. The Germans are in this terrible state overall in terms of their morale. And then along comes this charismatic psychopath that is just really good at screaming. To this day, I don't speak German, but to this day, when you watch that guy scream and yell at all those people and see them respond, it gives you chills. Like, that kind of charisma, that kind of influence that someone has, where they can do that in front of thousands and thousands of people and everyone's goose-stepping, and it's like, woo. To see, we're very fortunate. There's not something like that right now. And our forefathers and our grandparents and whoever fought in World War II, if it wasn't for them, who knows where this world would be right now, because that was a literal evil empire straight out of Star Wars. I mean, that was like the Sith Lord.
Right.
They really were. They were human beings who were doing some of the most evil shit that you could, almost demonic, if you really stopped and thought about it. If there were demons pretended to be people, they would do the same thing.
I mean, that's why I think it's a rabbit hole, because it's so hard to comprehend that, like, a culture of educated individuals in that moment in time that you talked about between World War I and World War II could completely become malevolent.
Yeah, that's one of the more disturbing things about the Nazis, was that there were so many of these people that they did extract through Operation Paperclip. Brilliant engineers and scientists that were also evil.
Right.
Like, those two things are very uncomfortable for us. We like to think of our scientists as being the people that are out there trying to solve the mysteries of the universe and provide us with the technology to make our life better here on Earth. Not the Nazis. They were trying to figure out how to kill people better. They were trying to figure out how to use rockets to shoot them at Europe and blow people up. And it's one of the more telling and horrific times in our history when you read, because it's one of the more horrific ones that we have footage of. Because we don't have footage of Genghis Khan,
Right.
we don't have footage of Alexander the Great. We have stories and tales of Napoleon and some photographs and drawings of dictators, past and but we have a lot of footage from Vietnam. We have a lot of footage from World War II. We have a lot of footage from modern wars. And out of all of them, the one that scares us the most, scares me the most, is World War II.
Do you think those scientists, when they came here, because this is I could not figure this out even after writing that whole book. Do you think they came here and actually thought about what they had done, or they were able to convince themselves that they were the good Germans, that they were part of it? Because I never saw a single bit of remorse ever. Like, no one ever acknowledged what they had done. So it made me wonder.
I guess results vary, right? I mean, I think there's probably two people that go through the same thing, and one person has no problem with it, and the other person literally can't sleep. I don't know. It's a good question. It would be interesting to interview them. The ones who've been caught, who've been prosecuted, and who've been chased down, I mean, they've got one fairly recently. They caught a Nazi like just a few months ago. It's one of the last ones. He was in his 90s, I believe. The ones who survived, they all tell different stories. And some of them say they just were following orders. And, you know, some of them say that they didn't do it. They're being framed. They all have different stories. It's
one of them. You know, you write a book about that, or you think about it, and you kind of you go down the rabbit hole, and then you have to ask yourself, what does this mean? Or it's too dark, right? Yeah. And so I asked that question to a Auschwitz survivor, okay, who I wrote about in the book. His name was Gerhard Marschowski, and the reason he survived Auschwitz was because he was taken over to the labor camp, which was called Buna. So it was a rubber factory. And it was led by this truly evil man named Otto Ambros, who became part of Operation Paperclip, okay? After being tried at Nuremberg and being convicted of mass murder and genocide, right? We got him out, and he worked for us. Really? You got to read the story of it. I mean, it's just astonishing. Otto Ambros, right?
So they extracted...
He was a chemist.
Oh, my God.
Right? But he was... So Gerhard was at Buna, this factory, this rubber factory. And he lived. And I did an interview with him because I was asking him, you know, the flip side of all of that. And his whole family was killed at Auschwitz. And I said to him, what is any of... You know, we went through all these questions to try to get some closure to this or some meaning. And I said... And then we landed on, I said, well, you know, we couldn't answer, what does this mean, right? What does it mean for today? Couldn't answer. So when I asked him, what matters about all this? He went like this. He lifted up his sleeve and he showed me his tattoo. And he said, that matters. And I have that image seared in my mind. I had never seen a tattoo from Auschwitz before, and I have not since. And it also made me think, because I thought, he's going to die soon, and he has died since. And then that tattoo is gone. So all you have is the exchange of information and people talking about it.
Yeah.
The eyewitnesses die.
How did they get that guy out of Nuremberg? How did they get them to release him?
Well, okay, so he was convicted at Nuremberg, then he went to prison. He went to the prison where we had all the...
They didn't execute him?
No,
I mean, obviously.
They executed like the top Nazis, and then a lot of these guys went to prison. So there was a bunch of trials. And so I went to the prison. I saw his cell. I mean, in Germany. It was intense, Landsberg prison. And then because we were sort of policing Nazi Germany after it was not, after the war was over, we were policing Germany. And then... and a guy named McCoy was in charge. He was kind of like the governor general of Germany. And the Germans wanted Germany back. And they were like, we're tired of you guys policing us. The threat from the Russians was very real. And so deals were made. I mean, I write about all this in Paperclip, based on the documents. And one of the provisions was, we want our guys out of prison. We want them back in society. And that was arranged. And again, you don't even know these things, They're like, but that was, and then Otto Ambros, and they even gave him his money back. That was astonishing. And the family still has this villa in Switzerland, I believe, or maybe it's the Bavarian Alps, that had been in the family, which is money from, from Nazi Germany. And I called up the son to interview him. He was not as forthright as Dr. Blum's son. And, he hung up on me and said, if you ever contact me again, they have very serious privacy laws in Germany. I thought about going and knocking on his front door. My lawyer was like, Annie, do not do that. They have very different laws in Germany.
For privacy?
Yes.
Even if
for
you're
issues like
the son of a Nazi?
Yes, yeah. Absolutely.
Well, I would imagine, look, if he didn't do anything, he shouldn't be responsible for what his father did.
No, but he has the villa. That was the point.
Right.
He had all the money. Right.
And he got that money from his father, who got that money from stealing it from people.
Yes.
During World War II.
Yes.
Yeah, like what happens there?
Yes.
But if you go back to that, like, we should really find out who had the plantations in America and who benefited from that. Like, go several generations from there. I mean, you could get weird with war.
Reparations
and
are
with
big.
Evil deeds where people profited. Yeah.
I mean, which is sometimes a reason why I realize in looking at these, in reporting these books, which is why certain things are kept secret. I mean, they open up a whole can of worms about reparations.
Sure.
Yeah.
Wow. Was Operation Paperclip, writing that book, was that one of the most disturbing ones for you?
That was dark. I mean, that was so dark. My husband is amazing. He's Norwegian, right? And Norway was occupied by the Nazis for 5 years. Like, people kind of forget that. But he grew up there, and his mom, was a grade schooler and was really impacted. Like, didn't go to school for 5 years while the Nazis were there. They were going to breed with the Norwegians because they were such lovely Aryan people, right? So my husband, having a Norwegian mom, was like, when I was writing Paperclip, it would be so dark sometimes. I would be like down in my office, like, I can't, honey, I can't, and he'd be down there with a sandwich or coffee and he'd say, but are you throwing another Nazi under the bus? And I would say, yes. And he'd say, keep typing, right? And then I realized, well, wait a minute. The neutral journalist has to really make sure that she's not just throwing Nazis under the bus without really good reason. And so when I was in Germany at the archives, I went to Dachau, the concentration camp, and I asked the lead archivist if I could come and see the worst possible photographs that no one wants to see. And he said, absolutely. And I didn't write about them in the book because I didn't want to subject people to that kind of horror. But I looked at them and I saw with my own eyes people moments before they were killed, and then the bodies afterwards. And these are in human experiments to see whether or not pilots could survive height, or, they simulated different things in chambers, at high altitude or speed. And I saw photographs of, freezing people to death, right? Because they were trying to develop programs where they wanted to see at what temperature humans actually died. Right, and so they experimented on Jews. These are some of the doctors that came on our programs, and I looked at that evidence, and that blew me away. And then I knew when I left there, okay, I can throw these Nazis under the bus.
It's such a crazy time in history where you really stop and think about all the different experiments that they did do. It's almost like they just opened up the vault of evil that said, listen, we have an opportunity. These people aren't people. Let's do whatever we want. It's like they're fake people. It's like they were an invention.
I mean, the perception really played into it.
Oof. It's so gross. It's so scary to think about that humans just, a generation or two away were capable of doing that.